I'm leveling up my stats on a deserted island. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 51 Lightning in the Mangroves. In Southwest Province, the victim Hong Mama had a Buddha statue in his home that suddenly glowed, and he burned incense and worshipped without thinking. That night, he suddenly died. After identification, the Buddha statue inexplicably turned into the victim's appearance, and was identified as a Class I hazardous item by the expert group. Handing over supernatural objects will benefit the country and the people. Privately keeping supernatural objects will harm others and yourself. Comrade Wang Fumin in the shelter felt so regretful when he heard this broadcast. It's not that he was worried that the mysterious drifting bottle would kill him, but the preferential treatment given by the country this time was actually not bad. The 10 million bonus is not a small amount, and it can be directly transferred, unlike the money frozen in the bank. The quota for 6'10" refuge cities is even better, and the whole family can be arranged. There are also 6 quotas to enter the mysterious area and awaken supernatural powers. It is said that there is a 1 in 10 chance of awakening supernatural powers. Old Wang, has your message in the bottle arrived? Lu Tuiyu, who was sitting next to him, seemed to see what he was thinking and coughed dryly. If it floats back, will you hand it over to the country? Alice, only God knows. It may take several years to send it. Wang Fumin was sad for a while, and he could only let it go. He himself is a person who goes with the flow. He is 35 years old and knows his own weight. He doesn't think about becoming rich. Especially in this era, becoming rich is even more impossible. The flesh on Wang Fumin's face trembled a few times. At worst, I can go to serve in the military. The treatment of soldiers is not bad. After all, we are a big country with nuclear bombs. The war on the border should not spread to us for a while. The changes of the times require a large number of soldiers to guard the territory. The age of military service has been relaxed to 40 years old. In other words, serving in the army is also a good option. With the paralysis of the economy and the sharp rise in unemployment, if you want your family to live a more comfortable life, you still have to find a job. Alice, Lu Tuiyu also sighed. I'm wondering if I have to serve in the military too. The country only needs bricklayers now, and we can only move bricks online. If we continue like this, we will starve to death on the streets. Accepting relief is not a long-term thing. The two kept calculating. The old order collapsed, and the new order has not yet been formed. Even if the government racked its brains, all kinds of chaos were everywhere. Especially now that inflation may be 100% a year, the money in the past is really too cheap. Everyone laughs at Zimbabwe, and everyone is moving towards Zimbabwe. Wang Fumin flipped through a few pages of the conscription manual. I used to be a driver. I drove a truck for 10 years and had no accidents in 10 years. It shouldn't be a problem to be a transport soldier. Lu Tuiyu nodded in agreement. I moved bricks in a large internet company for several years. I am also a high-tech talent. Can I be a communications soldier? The two discussed for a while. Lu Tuiyu's parents stayed in the countryside, and he could feed the whole family without worrying about it. Wang Fumin has a family, with a wife and daughter to support. A stable job is necessary. Dad, are you going to the mysterious area? Are you going to fight the big monsters? The child who was listening at the side with a sly look suddenly asked. Wang Fumin smiled and said, yes, I will help you catch a big turtle. Do you like the big turtle in the mirage? Yes, I like it. I like the small, white turtle. The child with pigtails and a face like a red apple smiled. Dad, I want to eat ice cream cones. When Dad comes back, I will buy you ice cream cones. You can eat as many as you want, but you can only eat one a day. Dad, I want to go to the amusement park. When Dad comes back, I will take you to the amusement park. Wang Fumin scratched his head. In this era, where can there be an amusement park? Dad, I want to go to that. The little girl bit her finger. Various wishes kept coming out of her head, and she wanted to cry again. Her eyes were inexplicably red, and she whispered, Dad, will there really be a war? No, how can there be a war? Wang Fumin squatted down and touched his daughter's head. Dad just wants to go to the mysterious area to rescue your idol, not to go to war. Lu Tuiyu was watching from the side and felt funny and a little sad. Can you, an ordinary person, Lao Wang, get a place in the mysterious area? You're dreaming. Unless you hand over the drifting bottle. He raised his head and looked at the three mirages in the sky. Yes, there are only 3 left now. The government has contacted 2 of the teams. Those 2 teams may be rescued. This is not a rumor, it has been spread on the internet a long time ago. The only one who has not been contacted is the brother who survived on the deserted island. I don't know what he is doing with an iron cage, and he is following so many turtles. Is he hunting? Lu Tuai looked at the sky and had a lot of fantasies. Hey, why do I feel that the mangrove forest is erupting lightning? The lightning is getting bigger and bigger, the trees that covered the sky stretched out wantonly, intertwined with each other, blocking the sunlight and bringing a chilling cold wind. The plasma floating in the air converted oxygen into ozone, which smelled faintly fishy. Crash, the branches that were electrocuted fell on the water in twists and turns, becoming gray-black charcoal. The terrifying silver snake that was constantly raging jumped back and forth in the space. Any silver light had a powerful heat that could kill people. Zhang Ming sat in the Faraday cage, his muscles tensed, and his hair, which had not been trimmed for several months, was affected by static electricity, and stood up like a hedgehog. He secretly complained in his heart, "Is this guy a perpetual motion machine? You're not tired at all after tossing for so long." According to the original plan, after the golden eel swallowed the crab, it would fall into a state of madness due to the severe pain and the incomparable chili. The vitality of this mutant creature is amazing, and Zhang Ming did not think that he could kill it quickly. He just wanted to use the fishing method to slowly pull the opponent to death. But plans cannot keep up with changes. The golden eel did eat the crab meat and also went into a state of madness as planned. However, the dagger was not inserted deep enough, and it was broken free in just a moment. This was also a helpless thing. After the golden eel broke free from the rope, it turned around in the mangrove forest like crazy, searching for any possible enemies and attacking everything it saw. So, it became like this. The whole mangrove forest was stirred up. Zhang Ming took a deep breath and clenched the spear in his hand. Don't worry, the wound in its body is very large. A large amount of pepper water will stimulate its wound and make it go crazy. Wait until its physical energy is exhausted, then I will take the initiative to attack. Through the gap in the metal cage, a bright red color flowed in the river. It was the mottled blood from the wound in the golden eel's throat. It must have been injured. At this moment, the overlord of the mangrove forest exuded anger with his eyes wide open. Chapter 52 Kill it, or be killed. Silver snakes were rampant, the wind was raging, and large areas of trees around were turned into charcoal. Only the metal cages on the edge were intact. This is the power of technology. No matter how fierce the lightning emitted by the golden eel is, it can never compare to the real lightning that erupts from nature, with a powerful current of 100 million volts. It can't break the Faraday cage. Zhang Ming waited patiently, his heart beating faster and faster. He even found that his emotions were rising unprecedentedly, and his aging nervous system, like waste plastic, was revived under the effect of adrenaline. After 3 months on the deserted island, his brain became more and more numb, and he felt that everything was noisy. As the hunting instinct from the depths of his genes continued to awaken, the crazy accelerated blood circulation, even the mental value that was cut in half, actually rose to an unprecedented level. It slowed down, but it's not the time yet. Wait a little longer. As time passed, the swimming speed of the golden eel was obviously several levels slower than an hour ago. It may be tired. Under the flushing of a large amount of running water, the pepper that had pierced its body was slowly draining away. Pepper, after all, is not a real poison. Zhang Ming squinted his eyes. The sharp rise in his spirit value made his heart soar, but at the same time, he had a calm sense of contradiction. Through the gap in the Faraday cage, he carefully observed the movements of the golden eel. This super golden eel, which weighs about 1 ton or 2 tons, is swimming towards its nest. It is really tired. If this golden eel has the ability to repair its wounds, or escapes into the sea, everything will be in vain. I can't miss this opportunity. Looking at the various props in the backpack, he made up his mind. Quickly opening the cage door, Zhang Ming yelled at the eel, "Hey, taste the anger of the terrifying upright ape." He swung his arm violently and threw out a bottle with force. It was full of peppers. More than 100 points of physique and perception allowed him to complete this fatal throw very accurately. With a light plop sound, the bottle filled with chili sauce just hit the head of the golden eel. The hot juice quickly polluted the surrounding seawater and deeply stung the cut wound in the golden eel's body. Splash! It bounced high from the water, and its cold eyes flashed with lightning. The overlord of the mangroves recognized the heat that hurt itself, and a terrifying anger appeared in its heart. It saw the unknown creature in the cage. If it weren't for this throw, it would have even overlooked what the strange cage was. The golden electric eel was angry. The sky began to rain again. The clouds were very low, as if they were staying above the mountains. The cold wind from the seaside swept through the mangroves with a shrill whistle. Zhang Ming felt a slight pain between his eyebrows, which seemed to be an instinctive sense of crisis brought by the sixth sense. Feel the power of technology. If you can break the iron cage, I will give it to you to eat. With a heavy bang, the iron cage door was closed neatly. Squeak. In the next half-minute, accompanied by a dull thunder, the golden eel launched the most violent attack on the iron cage. The terrifying silver snakes surrounded the cage with great momentum, forming a huge electric ring with a diameter of 10 meters, covering the cage. Squeak. Zhang Ming sat inside, his heart beating faster and faster. He suddenly had a strange illusion that he was the protagonist in the game Monster Hunter. To hunt monsters, you need corresponding props to reduce the difficulty. However, he only has one life and can't reload the file. This golden eel is too powerful, much more powerful than all the mutant creatures I heard on the radio. The huge electric ring surrounding the Faraday cage was stimulated by the eel after it was exhausted. It's hard to imagine how powerful it was in its heyday. However, this time, it encountered its natural enemy, the terrifying upright ape. No science. A simple closed metal cage blocked all the lightning. After all, the power it controlled was not big enough to penetrate the entire iron cage out of thin air. No matter how hard it tried, the strong current was absorbed by the earth and led into the ground. The rain gradually got heavier, and the vision became a little blurry, but Zhang Ming focused all his attention. The opponent's power output was decreasing, and it was obvious that it was exhausted after this wave of explosion. He pulled out a crab-leg spear from the basket beside him and held it tightly. His mind outlined the thousands of throwing exercises in the past 2 months. It wants to escape. That will be my chance. At the 22nd second, the silver-white lightning surrounding the metal cage began to decrease significantly. At the 33rd second, the golden eel recovered from its rage, and its tired body no longer allowed it to dissipate energy as recklessly as in the past. It felt the terrible pressure of the iron cage. Even if it was at its peak, it might not be able to do anything about the metal cage. The arrogance of the mangrove overlord disappeared at this moment. At the 34th second, the golden eel turned around and began to escape. It escaped. Zhang Ming opened the door of the iron cage with the attitude of a winner. The momentum accumulated for a long time reached its peak at this moment. With a hiss sound, the knotted muscles suddenly exerted force. Under the blessing of power burst, the air exploded, and a black light streaked through the heavy rain. The moment it entered the sea, a huge wave exploded. The opponent was still fleeing frantically. But Zhang Ming knew that his spear hit the target. This was his first time hunting prey that was 100 times stronger than himself. This was completely different from hunting crabs on the mudflats. It was a hunt that risked life, a battle of passion and surging. Zhang Ming finally understood why Westerners were always keen on extreme sports that were suicidal, but now he understood, because those were all mentally ill people who were bored and would suffocate to death if they didn't challenge. The transition between hunter and prey was always so fast. Zhang Ming bounced back and forth on the trees, chasing at a high speed, like Tarzan's mad rush. The raindrops as big as beans hit his face, taking away the body heat. The wind from all directions pressed down like a tidal wave. His pounding heart and surging adrenaline made him feel refreshed. It doesn't have enough power to trigger the next lightning. Even if it does, it has to face me directly to launch a long-range attack. The moment it faces me, I will be able to escape in time. One battle plan after another emerged from his mind like bubbles. Zhang Ming didn't know whether this was the result of his training in beating crabs or the powerful blessing of the spirit value attribute. In short, while he was extremely enthusiastic, he did not lose his composure. He jumped at high speed like a monkey, threw a spear, and even had time to glance at the spirit value panel. It was an unprecedented full value, spirit. 110/110, you are terribly excited, and the war-crazy mentality of the terrifying upright ape is fully exposed. Kill that enemy, or be killed. Chapter 53 Lightning Control. In the rainy day with dark clouds over the city, countless seabirds took off into the sky, howling in fear. Even if they were drenched in heavy rain, they would fly to the sky for shelter. Countless branches were broken in the battle and floated on the sea. This battle was comparable to the Battle of Huishan, a desperate fight between two peerless masters. In the eyes of the lower class, the battle between the two martial arts leaders, Mushroom Monster and Lightning King, has reached a white-hot level of life and death. One is a demon who has recently emerged. The other is a veteran top master. Who wins? Who loses? Wow, ga, chirp, the howling between the birds continued. The shadows of the spears and the silver-white lightning were reflected in the pupils of the lower class. An hour later, with the end of the horrific battle in the mangroves, the heavy rain stopped again. The setting sun hung in the western sky, dyeing the vast sea golden, and the bright red blood was diluted by the waves. Only the broken walls in the woods told of the battle that had taken place. Zhang Ming, who was soaked like a drowned chicken, was enthusiastically and excitedly checking his trophy, a golden electric eel weighing about 1.5 tons. He succeeded. After 2 months of preparation, he successfully hunted down a powerful enemy. It was hit by 7 spears, and even though it was dead, the muscles of its whole body were still twitching slightly, which made people deeply impressed by the powerful life force of the mutant life. If it weren't for the last spear, which happened to hit its eyeball and penetrated into its brain, this long battle might have lasted until late at night, and even more unknowns would have appeared. Now, you are mine. After confirming that the electric eel was completely dead, the mental excitement disappeared, and the fatigue of the body suddenly surged up. He used power burst to throw the spear many times in a row, and the physical energy consumed was still quite huge. Zhang Ming took a deep breath and just wanted to move this big electric eel back to his hometown as soon as possible. Then, hide and eat for a month. Tie a long rope to the eel, turn around and hear a series of paddling sounds. Those sea turtles sensed the end of the battle in the mangroves and swam over curiously. With the warmth of the setting sun, they saw the golden electric eel with 7 spears in its body. They were all shocked. For a while, they were all stunned in place. Those pairs of eyes were about to bulge out. How can you be so strong? How could you kill it? These turtles were stunned in place. It's you. Help me transport the eel back. I can consider giving you some. Otherwise, there will be nothing. Zhang Ming cheered up and was a little alert. He couldn't give up this trophy. No matter how good the friendship with this group of turtles is, it won't work. Arwoo-woo, arwoo-woo. After these turtles recovered from their stunned state, they did not rush forward to fight for it, but actually discussed it one by one. They were really shocked to the extreme, shocked that Zhang Ming could kill the golden eel, the overlord of the mangroves. In the end, it was the smallest little white turtle, who commanded something in a cute and fierce way. Arwoo, arwoo. The group of turtles seemed to have made up their minds. One of the larger turtles hammered down its long neck, and then carried Zhang Ming to swim outside the mangroves without saying anything. Hey, where are you going? I have to go home and listen to the radio. I haven't had dinner yet. Zhang Ming was anxious and held his trophy tightly. Arwoo, the little white turtle struggled in his palm, as if to say, take you to my house. Go to your house, Arwoo. Is there something important? Zhang Ming sighed in his heart. It turned out that turtles also value strength. It seemed that they were just playmates, entertaining each other, and there was no big connection. As for where the turtle home was, he didn't know at all. But now, it's different. Zhang Ming, hunted the golden eel. The most powerful turtles here couldn't kill the golden eels, and they didn't even dare to provoke them. The terrifying lightning was too terrifying. Even if they had turtle shells, they couldn't resist the seamless silver current. The huge change in strength made this intelligent race change its past inherent cognition and the pure playmate relationship at the first time. Of course, the above are all Zhang Ming's own fantasies, and it remains to be seen what happened. He was even a little wary of what these turtles were going to do, so he quietly cut a piece of spine meat from the eel with a knife, observed it for a while, and found no parasites, so he stuffed it directly into his mouth. Boom, an unimaginable heat flow gushed out of his stomach. Every cell in his body felt numb, and the eel meat contained a lot of spirit, which made Zhang Ming feel like he was floating in the sky. A small piece of eel meat, physique +1, perception +1, spirit +1. In fact, sashimi is not delicious, it is soft and greasy, and the fishy smell is quite strong, but the majestic heat flow in his body made him feel extremely happy. A piece of meat has 3 attribute points. Make a fortune. It's worth my 2 months of preparation. The effect of this eel meat is too strong. Even if the effect will continue to decrease after consumption, it will at least have more than 500 attribute points, right? Maybe 800, 1000, with 1000 attribute points, can I cross the mysterious area in my physical body? After taking another bite of the fish meat, Zhang Ming suddenly felt that he was full. With his physical strength constantly improving, he now has a large appetite, and it is no problem to eat 3 bowls of white rice. But at this moment, the energy contained in this eel meat is like a ball of hot lava, filling his whole body, and the powerful heat fills every cell of his body. It's as if the whole soul is filled up and can't eat any more. In fact, forcing it to swallow again will be harmful to the health of the body. It will take a while before I can eat again. Well, just cook a good meal. The taste of sashimi is really not good. Such good ingredients can't be wasted. Then, Zhang Ming found that there was an electric eel icon on the attribute panel. He was immediately happy, and the most anticipated thing appeared. Superpower, lightning control, allows you to stimulate the heartfire lightning, not activated, requires 60 attribute points to activate. The simple explanation and the huge cost of 60 attribute points made Zhang Ming dumbfounded. His total attribute now is only more than 460, and 60 points will consume 1/8. It doesn't matter, eat a few more bites of eel meat and it will be replenished, as long as he has the ability to control lightning. His combat ability will take a leap. Of course, activating a new ability may put himself into coma. Even though these turtles don't seem to have any malicious intent, for the sake of caution, Zhang Ming still resisted the urge to activate it immediately. Chapter 54, Relics of a Different Civilization. While thinking, the turtles carried Zhang Ming to the East Bay and swam towards a giant cave. This is a new unknown area. The swaying seawater rises and falls in the sunset at dusk. Waves crash into the turtle's back. Zhang Ming holds the turtle's neck with one hand and grabs the golden electric eel with the other. Colorful corals are entrenched in every corner of the cave. An unknown fish shuttle between rocks and seaweed. Luminous plants like colored glaze dot the cave, illuminating the inside like daylight. What surprised Zhang Ming even more was that on the rock wall, murals were vaguely revealed. And unknown words. There are large areas of submerged houses on the seabed. Is this the trace left by the extinct indigenous civilization? Zhang Ming had various guesses in his mind, and used his supervision to curiously look at these murals. It's a pity that the ruins were destroyed by these marine creatures. The dust of history is buried too thickly, so that most of the traces are slowly aging. Time is like an hourglass, calculating the order of dynasties and burying insignificant data. When everything returns to dust, who can prove that we have been here? After about a quarter of an hour, the final destination was reached. There is a different world in the cave, and there is even a small piece of dry land. Ah, the little white turtle shouted loudly, as if to say, this is our home. Standing on the back of the super large turtle, Zhang Ming widened his eyes and saw a series of collapsed artificial buildings. And what a strange turtle. This turtle is not big, but it looks like a mythical beast. It is white all over, and there are mysterious and dynamic complex patterns carved on its back, dotted with stars, like the sun, moon and stars. Ah, the little white turtle shouted again, as if to say, this is my father. Zhang Ming couldn't help but think of the Hichulu Oshu in mythology and legends. According to legend, during the 3 sovereigns and 5 emperors period, a divine turtle appeared on the bank of the Lua River, carrying the Hichulu Oshu for Fuxi to see. Inspired by the Hichulu Oshu, Fuxi created the 8 diagrams. Black and white are divided into yin and yang. The 5 elements belong to all things, the 4 images indicate feng shui, and heaven and man live together. Zhang Ming didn't know whether this big white turtle was a divine turtle. However, judging from its bloodline, it should be a direct relative of the little white turtle. The little white turtle is so smart, this old white turtle shouldn't be too stupid, as long as they can communicate. After seeing him and the big eel, the old white turtle seemed a little shocked, his eyes narrowed into a line, and he carefully looked at the weight of the big eel. Then several turtles talked. After the old white turtle figured out the situation, he turned around and crawled into the dilapidated temple that was almost collapsing. This seemed to be the habitat of the turtle clan. Many turtles lay here to rest, and the sound of was everywhere. It was simply a wonderful holy place for gathering and partying. A breath of primitive tribes came towards him. When these turtles saw humans, they were all very curious, looking at him with their long necks. However, because they were not acquaintances and were timid, they did not come over. Along the way, Zhang Ming also saw a lot of turtle eggs, piled up on the roadside. There were turtles who were specially protecting the eggs, looking at him vigilantly. So the turtle eggs are all here. I was wondering why there were no turtle eggs on the beach. The protection of the cubs is an important link for a race to enter the civilized era. If a race does not protect its cubs, how can it have organizational capabilities? If a species is a loner without social interaction, how can it have language and writing? Seeing that the turtles have formed a system of protecting cubs, Zhang Ming can only temporarily suppress his desire to eat eggs and follow them forward. The room in the front is magnificent and has collapsed by half. Even though all kinds of mosses are crawling all over the walls, the magical decorations of gold and silver still show that this place was once prosperous. The walls are carved with lifelike pictures, as if you can hear the folk songs echoing in history. Zhang Ming entered the hall carefully, pondering the paintings left by the indigenous people. This intelligent species with horns on their heads has not developed technology. They still practice the ancient way of life, working from sunrise to sunset. Because they look similar to humans, Zhang Ming randomly named them Yanjiao people. Yanjiao people and sea turtles seem to have a symbiotic relationship. They met a long time ago. One of the turtles is ridiculously large. The background of the entire mural only describes a small outline. The entire country of Yanjiao people is built on the back of this sea turtle. The isolated island under my feet is a dead turtle? How big is it? Zhang Ming was shocked, and even had a sense of absurdity in his heart. As big as a mountain? The area of a county? Or as big as a province? As big as a country? The mural with a hint of artistic atmosphere cannot restore the real history, but no matter what, this giant turtle is really a little beyond his imagination. It was just like the description in the Indian mythology. At the bottom of the world is a huge turtle, on its back stand 4 elephants, and on the back of the elephants is a strange round world, which is the world where humans live. I don't know whether the description on the mural is real or a religious story. I can believe some of it, but I can't believe it completely. He swallowed his saliva and continued to observe patiently. The murals fully recorded the living habits of this civilization, various strange customs and rituals, from farming to pottery, from carpenters to blacksmiths. They developed a brilliant civilization. Their race is getting stronger and stronger, and various flying tribesmen have conquered several super beasts. Does this race also have superpowers? Zhang Ming pondered a little confusedly. Because there are many missing parts of the murals and they are full of artistic atmosphere, he is not sure whether his guess is correct. After all, it is not too much for archaeologists to verify this kind of thing for 10 or 8 years and publish 100 papers. He, a science student, was entangled here for a long time, but he couldn't figure out what those bottles and jars and various strange rituals meant. However, at the end of the mural, the giant turtle died. Its body began to rot, and mushroom-like bacteria grew endlessly inside it. The engraver of the mural carved the last image with grief and anger, endless heavy rain, endless clouds. The whole world was only black and white. The Yanjiao people ushered in the end of the world, and mushrooms grew out of the corpse, exuding magical power like the red spider lily. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 55. Hello, Repeater. Most of the Yanjiao people rushed into the mushroom group with abnormal mental state, and turned into a mass of cold flesh and blood, nourishing these crazy growing mushrooms. Only a small number of Yanjiao people took a big ship, bid farewell to their homeland, and fled to the ocean. No one knows what their final fate is. After all, these are stories from who knows how long ago. Zhang Ming took a deep breath. The cold picture and the ending of death made his pores stand up. He even found a corpse on the edge of the mural. The painter of the mural portrayed the final story with a belief that he would die. His bones were not destroyed by the turtles and remained until now. At this moment, this person is already a skeleton, very similar to humans. Zhang Ming judged that the height of this Yanjiao person was about 1.7 meters. The only difference was that he had a skull like a bull's horn on his head. Why did these turtles bring me here? Even if that giant turtle is their ancestor, there is no point in bringing me here. They can't even beat the golden electric eel now, so there is no way they can restore their original glory. The gap between people is greater than that between people and dogs. The gap between turtles may be greater than that between heaven and earth. The old white turtle arched its head forward, signaling Zhang Ming to continue forward and not to waste time here. Inside was a strange place like an altar, with an exquisite and unusual table placed on it. It seemed to be a round table made of jade, gold and various gems, in the shape of a lotus, engraved with a lot of complex text. Zhang Ming seriously doubted that if this thing was placed on Earth, it would be sold for at least $1 billion. Look at the artistic value and cultural relic value. There's only one in the world, absolutely authentic. A black stone was placed on the table. Once again, something happened that shocked him. The black stone was actually talking? Yes, it was talking. Hello everyone, I am the announcer Li Xianfeng. Today I will bring you the first-hand news. The rescue work of the Arctic Ocean team has entered a critical stage. Our fleet has been attacked by submarine creatures. The current special forces are in good condition, located in the mysterious area. The construction of a large communication ship is progressing steadily. By then, more ordinary people will be allowed to enter the mysterious area and awaken their superpowers. Zhang Ming was horrified by the words of the Black Stone, and his hair stood up. What is this thing? Are all the broadcasts I heard fabricated by this Black Stone? Is it all tricking me? Is it constantly guiding me? Or the construction of the national-level shelter, the Surin project, will effectively include jobs for hundreds of millions of people and lay a solid foundation for us to get through the difficult time in the future. Listeners, today's news broadcast is over. After listening to all the broadcasts, it almost matches the content of yesterday. The continuous spread of war, the rescue of survivors, the collapse of the old order and the construction of the new order, the chaos of Earth civilization. At the end, Li Xianfeng began to broadcast the latest popular serialized online novels. Zhang Ming was actually looking forward to this segment the most. He listened to it every day and never missed it. It was impossible for the stone to make it up. When the broadcast ended, the room fell into silence. Who are you? Zhang Ming asked. Who are you? Black Stone repeated. The old voice reverberated back and forth in the room, echoing. Are you Li Xianfeng? Why are you broadcasting the news here, or can you receive electromagnetic waves from the outside world? Black Stone repeated in an old voice. Are you Li Xianfeng? Why are you broadcasting the news here, or can you receive electromagnetic waves from the outside world? Zhang Ming was silent for a moment, and his doubts grew. He suddenly thought of a keyword, supernatural wonders. Even the Earth has a small number of wonders, not to mention the mysterious zone. He thought to himself, this black stone should be a strange object. Its function is to receive electromagnetic waves and repeat them. It is because it can speak that the turtles worship it here. Wait, is it a living thing? Thinking of this, Zhang Ming tried. Eat grapes without spitting out the grapeskins. Don't eat grapes but spit out the grapeskins. The black stone followed and said, eat grapes without spitting out the grapeskins. Don't eat grapes. Zhang Ming thought of a more difficult tongue twister and said hesitantly, Si Zioshi and Shi Zioshi, at 2:40 on April 14th, went to the market. Si Zioshi bought 44 pounds and 4 ounces of tomatoes. The black stone was silent for 2 seconds, and reluctantly repeated, 44,444,444, how come it is a living thing? A supernatural wonder should not be so weak. Suspicious. Zhang Ming was still thinking about studying this repeater, and suddenly felt that the old white turtle was nudging him with his head. He squinted his eyes and looked at the big golden eel. Zhang Ming immediately frowned. You want me to sacrifice the golden eel to the black stone? Can I take it back? If it's just a formality and I can still eat it, I don't care. But if I can't take it back, why should I give you the eels I hunted? That eel means hundreds or thousands of attributes. For Lao Zhang, who is not well off, it is impossible to give it up. When the old white turtle saw Zhang Ming's expression, he knew that he was not happy. Lao Bai was also very upset. The man and the turtle gestured for a long time, and it can be seen that Lao Bai is smarter than Xiao Bai. The class of the turtle race is clear. When the elders do things, the younger ones can only watch and don't even have the opportunity to interrupt. The rest of the turtles all left the room, and only Lao Bai was in the room, discussing something with Zhang Ming. Only the black stone repeated tirelessly, why should I give you the eels I hunted? Even the turtles' woo-woo cry was repeated. Old White was really smart. He quickly understood the concept of trading. He gestured to the eel to show that he only wanted a fish head and didn't want the rest. At the same time, they would give some useful gifts. For example, a sharp spear that exuded a cold chill. When Zhang Ming saw this gift, he waited for a few times, and immediately couldn't move his eyes away, his heart pounding. He stretched out 2 fingers and checked the head of the golden electric eel suspiciously. Is there any valuable thing like a demon pill or a golden pill in the fish head? If there is a demon pill, I have to take it out first before I can trade with you. Old White Turtle stared at him with round eyes. What are you talking about? It's just a fish head for sacrifice. What is a demon pill? Zhang Ming checked for a long time and felt that this old turtle was not more cunning than humans, so he agreed to complete the transaction. It's just a fish head, and there is not much meat. The attribute points brought by the same kind of food have marginal effects, and it doesn't matter if there is one less fish head. This spear is a true supernatural wonder, a legacy from ancient civilization. Its rhythm is different from that of normal objects, and there is a faint distortion of light and shadow in the air around it. According to current scientific explanations, it is called supernatural distortion phenomenon, which means that at the level of rules, physical reality is slightly distorted. Chapter 56, Strange Sacrifice Ceremony. Zhang Ming held the ancient spear and immediately felt that he had established a spiritual connection with it. It was as if a vague consciousness was telling him something. The spear's inherent abilities were cold and sharp. It could absorb human energy, making the spear handle extremely cold and indestructible. The spear weighed about 100 kilograms, and with his current physique, it was not a problem to use it. What's more, isn't this a natural refrigerator? I can make summer special drinks, so cool. Exchange the refrigerator for fish heads, big money. Wild gourmet Zhang Ming was very happy, and all kinds of summer cold drinks popped out of his mind like bubbles. If the skilled craftsmen of the Yanjiao people knew that I used their highest masterpieces for frozen food, would they jump up and beat my dog head? After getting the spear, he swung it hard and chopped off the fish head. The wound on the fish head was covered with a layer of light frost. The deal is done. The fish head is yours. If you have such good news, tell me later, old Zhang. The old white turtle showed a grateful and satisfied look in his eyes. No matter how cunning an animal is, it is just an animal. There are not so many twists and turns. It is quite easy for Zhang Ming to deal with the turtles. He does not bully them. You get what you pay for. What happened next was even more outrageous. A group of turtles cried "Arwoo, Arwoo," and offered the head of the electric eel to the stone altar. The black stone was still repeating, "Arwoo, Arwoo." The old white turtle seemed very respectful, and somewhat helplessly arched the black stone to the ground, making a click sound. The stone did not care, repeating the click sound, and also repeating the sound of its own falling. Zhang Ming did not let himself laugh out loud, muttering in his heart, "What's the matter with this stone? Is it a wise race in the past who worshipped it here?" After the fish head was placed, the room fell into silence. There was no sound, and the stone did not repeat. All the turtles were crawling, and only Zhang Ming stood there, standing out from the crowd. A few minutes later, a strange red mushroom grew out of the altar at a very fast speed. The faint red light swayed and danced, illuminating the whole room red, and the temperature inexplicably became cold, as if an extremely terrifying existence had descended upon the world from above through this red mushroom. In the blink of an eye, the coldness filled the whole room. What's going on? Zhang Ming held his breath, regretting staying in this ghost place. Mysterious unknown phenomena emerged one after another, which put him under a lot of pressure. In half a minute, the red mushroom grew bigger and bigger, and in a blink of an eye it grew to more than 3 meters high. Zhang Ming's ears echoed with strange and terrifying mutterings, as if there were many people chanting scriptures next to him, but he couldn't hear what they were saying. The sky was filled with colorful butterfly-like spirals, spinning round and round, and the surrounding ocean turned into an ink-like black. In the center of the deserted island, there are 2 strange things, entangled like a ball of wool. One black and one white, dense spider-web-like thin lines extend infinitely outward, and one of the thin lines extends to the altar. Zhang Ming's hands and feet are cold, and cold sweats are all over his body. Fear, suspicion, anxiety, and uneasiness all surged into his heart. He bit his tongue hard, and his face regained consciousness. The fish head on the altar was melting at a very fast speed, and in a blink of an eye it turned into a drop of crimson blood, which was absorbed by the red mushroom. What I just saw should be the scene in the mushroom forest. Are these turtles offering sacrifices to one of the powerful beings? Zhang Ming racked his brains to think about the information contained in it. No wonder, it is because there are 2 super beings in the island that the surrounding area is so peaceful. The power of these 2 super beings is really hard to describe in words. Just a glimpse of them in the illusion has soaked his clothes with cold sweat. He thought of the Yanjiao people and the contents of the murals, and thought, Why did white mushrooms emerge after the giant turtle died? Why are there two super lives instead of one? Occupying the nest? Residual soul. After absorbing the blood essence of the fish head, the red mushrooms did not seem satisfied. The dim red light still existed, and the coldness in the air became stronger. It seemed that if they did not offer sacrifices, the mushrooms would eat them all. The old white turtle raised its head, glanced at the mushrooms, and made a strange cry in its throat. Ah! The black stone that fell to the ground repeated. Ah! The turtles waiting outside, holding their turtle eggs, offered them one by one to the strange mushrooms. These turtle eggs turned into blood essence and were absorbed by the mushrooms. Are the sacrifices enough? Zhang Ming walked outside to find a female turtle and looked at the eggs hanging in its mouth. The female turtle had bright eyes and swayed its long neck. There seemed to be a little gratitude in her expression, and she let him touch it. There is no embryo, it's a white egg. These turtles, like seabirds, have limited reproductive capacity. The reproductive capacity of mutant life is not very high. These smart turtles sacrificed the white eggs that could not reproduce to the strange mushrooms to reduce the loss of their offspring. Zhang Ming rubbed his temple thoughtfully, but if I don't bring the seal head, the amount of their sacrifice may not be enough. At that time, they have to use eggs with real embryos to make up the difference. Now, the number of sacrifices should be enough, and there is no need to sacrifice excellent offspring. Therefore, the attitude of these turtles towards me will be greatly friendly. Look at it this way, a simple playmate is still not as good as a deep interest relationship, whether it's a human or a turtle, it's the same. When most of these eggs were sacrificed, the light emitted by the red mushroom gradually disappeared, and it turned into ashes with a pop. The twisted crazy light and shadow completely dissipated. Obviously, all the turtles breathed a sigh of relief when they saw the red mushroom disappear. Even the respected old white turtle relaxed from his highly vigilant state. Instead, the black stone, the repeater, suddenly jumped up from the ground and stepped on the altar again. There was a light click sound. The ashes of the red mushrooms fell down one after another, like a handful of ashes withered on the ground. All the turtles were accustomed to its strange behavior. Any action of the stone was possible. But Zhang Ming's heart was hurt for a moment. Is this stone very powerful? It's not just a repeater? Hey, stone, you should know something, right? The stone repeated exactly the same. Hey, stone, you should know something, right? Zhang Ming casually said a series of tongue twisters. Ping pong, bottle touch pot, pot touch bottle. You don't know it? You want to learn? I will teach you, stone. Chapter 57, You want to eat turtle, right? Having solved a big problem, the turtles began to entertain Zhang Ming in their own unique way. It can be seen that they are really happy. Even those turtles who are not very familiar with Zhang Ming have become amiable. In particular, many female turtles kept nudging him with their heads, looking at him with bright eyes. Actually, they wanted to ask for the meat of the electric eel. Zhang Ming immediately used the ice spear to freeze the electric eel into a large lump and keep it fresh. Ah, Gilulu. Some turtles spit bubbles in the water, and there are also large groups of turtles, gathering in twos and threes to eat corals to replenish the lack of trace elements in their bodies. The corals here are extremely hard, 3 points harder than concrete. Zhang Ming also took a bite and almost broke his teeth. However, the appearance of the coral is quite good. Zhang Ming carefully selected a piece of coral that is as colorful as a rainbow and has a very beautiful shape. He pried it open with the ice spear and prepared to take it home as a decoration. In human civilization, it is considered a treasure. No wonder these turtles like to eat crab shells. Compared to corals, crab shells are the ultimate delicacy. There are actually turtles performing superpowers there, just like performing acrobatics. What surprised Zhang Ming was that the superpowers possessed by turtles are not single. For example, the unique ability of the little white turtle is petrification, which turns itself into a hard stone in dangerous moments. And the ability of the old white turtle is telekinesis. It can remotely control the flight of metal materials. This is definitely an extremely powerful ability. And the huge super turtle actually let itself go and roared, and it blew out extremely cold wind from its mouth. In a blink of an eye, the ground and the wall were covered with a thick layer of frost. Ah! Woo, woo woo woo, gah. The old white turtle used telekinesis to remotely control a piece of iron ore, smashed its head viciously, and stopped the turtle's crazy behavior. Looking at the trembling bodies of his companions, the giant turtle's eyes revealed an innocent expression, and his bloody mouth did not close for a long time, and he kept wailing, "Why are you hitting me? I didn't mean it, didn't you say I should show my superpowers?" Why don't you let me show? Have I been expelled from the turtle group? Zhang Ming laughed out loud, and on a whim, he sang a song. He said that in the wind and rain, this little pain is nothing, wipe away your tears and don't ask, at least we still have dreams. A large group of turtles all sang along, arwoo, arwoo, and for a while, there were ghosts howling and the weather changed. It feels like modern people have entered a completely primitive tribe without any culture, with no fire, no electricity, no fluent language, and even different races. But, it's very happy. That's right. Even human superpowers can be diversified, so why can't turtles? I don't know what happened in ancient times that led to the extinction of the civilization and the death of the giant turtle. Only some descendants of the turtle survived. If it weren't for the description on the mural, who would have thought that this island was the corpse of a giant turtle? Oh, by the way, what kind of power will eating turtle eggs bring me? The food for turtles is also quite rich, including fish, shrimp, crustaceans, mollusks and seaweed. As omnivorous creatures, their diet is actually quite similar to that of humans. Oh, by the way, they actually eat jellyfish. Zhang Ming saw with his own eyes that one of the big turtles slowly ate a blue and poisonous jellyfish that looked like a balloon, with a delicious expression on his face. There is always a way out. Even this wilderness gourmet dare not eat jellyfish now. Of course, the turtles don't have much food reserves. The marine life here is relatively abundant, and they are actually quite resistant to hunger. It's no problem for them to not eat for several months or half a year, so they don't have the habit of storing food. After tinkering for a long time, they could only fish out some shellfish from the sea to treat Lao Zhang. What made Zhang Ming uncomfortable was that he was already full. Ever since he ate those few pieces of eel meat, his body was almost full. Today, he really couldn't eat anything at all. So many attribute points and superpowers in front of him, but there was no way to get them. That feeling was really exhausting. Hey, Lao Bai, I can trade you the viscera and bones of this eel. Do you want it? He gestured to the old white turtle privately and whispered, as a trade, I want all kinds of seafood and 1 or 2 turtle eggs. How about it, trade? It's a good deal, right? The old white turtle was very excited at first, but when he heard the word turtle eggs, he subconsciously became alert, and his eyes were slightly unfriendly. Arwoo-woo, it growled softly, what's the matter? You want to eat kids, right? Why do you suddenly want to eat turtles? If you weren't a distinguished guest, I would have kicked you out long ago, Zhang Ming hurriedly explained. These are the white eggs without embryos. There is no way to give birth to baby turtles. They should have been put on the altar for sacrifice, but now there are some extra ones. 2 will do, 1 is also fine. I don't need a lot, of course, it doesn't matter if you don't trade. Don't you want to eat the golden eel? Zhang Ming tempted again. I can even help you occupy that mangrove forest. That's the paradise with abundant food. Although this place is good, it doesn't get any sunlight, which is not conducive to growth and development. Without sunlight, you will lack calcium. The old white turtle narrowed his eyes a few times, and he was obviously tempted. Of course, this was also related to the fact that it didn't understand much. Old Zhang said again, oh, by the way, I still want to do archaeology. Why not send a few more turtles to help me dig underwater heritage? And that talking black stone, can you give it to me? What is that thing? The stone seemed to hear their conversation, and rolled over, repeating, give it to me. What is that thing? The old white turtle's eyes became unfriendly again. Just as Zhang Ming, a profiteer and archaeology rookie, was bargaining with a respected turtle patriarch, a large-scale public opinion fermented on the Earth's internet, spreading wildly at an overwhelming speed. Dusk, rainstorm, thunder, lightning, seabirds, and Tarzan. Even if the mirage only outlined some vague battle images, even with the outbreak of the crisis and the spread of the war, the heat of the mysterious area is constantly decreasing. After all, survival is the first need of human beings. If everyone can't survive, who has time to look at the sky? Even though the global internet has become a local area network, communication between them has become very difficult. But the battle scene this time was so strange that it could even be described as terrifying. When the high-definition images processed by AI appeared in front of the world, they quickly ignited global public opinion. Humans can actually be so powerful. This scene seems to represent the hope for the future of mankind. Chapter 58 The World's Most Powerful Superpower. On this day, Wang Fumin took his daughter to a ramen shop outside the shelter to eat ramen. Give me a big bowl of tomato and egg noodles, okay, 80 yuan, Wang Fumin cursed in his heart. With the worsening inflation, a bowl of the most ordinary egg noodles costs 80 yuan, which is really outrageous. However, looking at his daughter's expectant eyes, her little arms and hands quietly placed on the table with a smile on her face, he could only endure it. After about 10 minutes, the waiter brought a big bowl of steaming hot ramen to the table. The rough handmade ramen was soaked in orange-yellow soup, dotted with chopped green onions and a golden egg, accompanied by a white mist-like aroma, which made people's appetite increase at first sight. Wang Fumin gave the big egg and some ramen to his daughter and ate them slurp. Dad will go to the army in 2 days. You will go back to your hometown with your mother and go to kindergarten. Be obedient. You will go to elementary school next year. Yak, yak. The child's mouth was greasy and his head nodded like a rattle. You can also come to see Dad during the holidays. Wang Fumin said some inexplicable words. In fact, he himself was quite confused about the future and didn't know where to go. Or, in this era, how many people are not confused? Suddenly, he heard the two people across the table were so excited that they almost jumped up from their chairs. Area 16, the guy who survived on a deserted island, the strongest superpower in the human race. Haha, I said that the people here are not bad. Even if he is the only trapped person in the mysterious area, he actually made such a big drama. Mysterious Area 16 is actually the most dangerous mysterious area. They know nothing. Mysterious Area 16? Wang Fumin looked up and saw several young men in casual clothes sitting opposite him, holding their phones and discussing something with great interest. Their faces were so excited that they looked like red balloons. He asked quickly, "Brother, what happened? Wasn't it raining all the time during the mirage on the 16th yesterday? I couldn't see anything." "Hey, don't you know? Some foreign experts used computers to restore high-definition images and removed some of the fog. They found that in the rainy day, there was actually a scene of gods fighting. The guy in the mysterious area of 16th in our great Xia country is definitely the strongest superpower in the world. There's a big fuss on the internet. This fight is just like a movie. Didn't they say that God is selecting the strongest race? Now the strongest race is beyond doubt." These guys turned their phones over and over, their eyebrows dancing with joy, their hair standing up in anxiety. The current internet speed is extremely slow. Many optical cables were broken by the earthquake. The internet speed is like a dropper in a small water pipe. It took a long time to load a few pictures. In this blurry picture, there are humans running wildly on the trees. And his opponent is an underwater creature that can spray lightning, with golden light all over its body, like a dragon. Do you know how fast the spear he threw is? How fast can he run if he runs on flat ground? If he jumps over obstacles in the jungle? Wang Fumin was excited. He actually missed a big show yesterday. When he thought that the drifting bottle he sent was sent to the hands of the strongest superpower in the world, it seemed less painful and tangled. His daughter screamed even more. Children of this age have a tendency to chase stars. She kept asking what sonic speed means, who Bolt is, and who Tarzan is. After eating a meal of ramen, Wang Fumin returned to the temporary shelter and found his good friend Lu Tuiyu. "Have you heard about it?" Old Wang asked without thinking. I heard about it, he is climbing over the wall," Lu Tuiyu replied without looking back. With a break of the submarine optical cable, the most popular thing now is to use satellites in space, such as Starlink, for internet communication. Thanks to this, the net worth of Starlink founder Niu Sik has skyrocketed, making him the world's richest man, far ahead of the second place. Lu Tuiyu didn't have much money in his pocket, but he was willing to spend money to contribute to Niu Sik's performance. But then again, since inflation has skyrocketed, everyone spends money when they have it, and saving money is simply irrational. People on the internet are going crazy. Lu Tuiyu slapped his thigh, holding his mobile phone, and yelled, "The strongest superpower in the human race is on our side. It's so fucking cool." There is no suspense, no doubt. The global level high-intensity line seemed to have decided the outcome at this moment. The well-known minion Fang Zhuke made a magical statement, "Let the world be destroyed. I would rather let the world be destroyed than admit this truth." This must be an Oriental conspiracy, someone responded below. Baga, this is a video released by an American. But if our invisible ability user is still alive, we can kill him with a single knife by lurking over. Lu Tuiyu laughed loudly. This guy should be playing a role in reverse. He typed a line of text, "Indeed, those who don't take action will always be invincible. It's better to ask the well-known assassin Yamagami Toru to come out and compete." Someone else wrote on Bluebird, "He is very strong, But he can't compare to the person with the ability to levitate the body. There are several reasons for this. The person with the ability to levitate the body is very young and has a lot of room for improvement. Lu Tuiyu has always disdained to refute the long-winded speech of the third brother. Because the logic of the third brother is broken, they are obsessed with their own world and can't understand human words. For these people, it is necessary to constantly advocate and let them join the public opinion front. Make fewer enemies and more friendly forces. I strongly agree that the person with the ability to levitate the body is the best in the world. It's just a pity that he died in the heroic battle before he grew up. So this Oriental man is the second best in the world. The other party replied happily, "Brother, you understand too well. The person with the ability to levitate the body is the best in the world, and the Oriental man is the second best." The next tweet was written by some magical human again. "It is because of his appearance that I was robbed today, damn it. I am willing to donate all my property and put myself in a centralized detention center to atone for my original sin. God, please save us." Wang Fumin couldn't stop laughing after reading this tweet. No wonder Lu Tuiyu is so happy all day long. It turns out that there are so many idiots outside the wall who can't stand their own people doing well. They blame their compatriots when they are robbed. It's really a strange news in the world. But what to do? He is anxious. Wang Fumin laughed. Quickly encourage him to donate all his property quickly. It would be best if he donates all his property. Chapter 59, Gaia or God? Lu Tuiyu waved his hand and said with a smile, "Old Wang, your aggression is not good. Instead, you will lose the highest point of morality." He will take the opportunity to say that we have no quality or something. These people always think they are superior to others. With my many years of experience in cyber violence, I should be sarcastic at this moment. He typed a line of text on the screen. "Please, don't give up on yourself, brother. You are the future of mankind and the center of the world. Everything revolves around you. Once you are ashamed, the whole world will collapse. Once you give up treatment, heaven will fall, and even hell will be destroyed. Hold on, my brother." After the two of them said a lot of sarcastic things, they laughed wildly, and they felt so comfortable. The next one was the heavy news published by Professor Peter Greer, which posted some animated pictures and corresponding conclusions, and received millions of likes. In summary, we can be sure that the most powerful superpower in the world currently appears in the mysterious area number 16. Among all the currently known superpowers, including the other two teams trapped in the mysterious area, there is no such powerful superpower. There is even a cliff-level gap in combat power, but no matter what, the emergence of this phenomenon will bring us endless inspiration and announce the future of mankind striving for progress. As long as one person can do it, there will definitely be more people who can do it. Someone left a message at the back. "Professor, has God selected the best race? It should be only temporary, right? He should also have physical ability. Why is he so powerful? Is it because he ate a lot of crabs? This professor is very famous. I've heard of his name," Wang Fumin said while looking at the phone. He actually admitted this fact directly. "Don't think too well of people, and don't think too badly of people." Lu Tuiyu stroked his glasses. "He may be a simple researcher, tell the truth, but there may be other reasons. For example, they want us to be the target of public criticism. After all, being half a step ahead is a genius, being one step ahead is a madman. People's jealousy is terrible." Thinking of the current world situation, Wang Fumin sighed slightly in his heart. The surging public opinion has flooded the whole world. In the Special Affairs Processing Department, Li Xianfeng is holding a routine meeting. Professor Peter's tweet has pushed the public opinion of the strongest superpower to the forefront. Can you discuss what his real intention is at present? He can't just reveal state-level secrets casually, right? Using supercomputers to restore and enlarge the image of the Mirage is also a current research practice. The scene that happened yesterday evening really made them very excited. The fighting intensity shown by Zhang Ming was far higher than that of the superpowers in the national team. But unexpectedly, the Americans suddenly released part of the images today, and this wave of public opinion caught everyone off guard. This wave of public opinion is not very favorable to the West. I don't understand why they want to make it public. Is it a political struggle? But the malice of some people in the outside world is even greater. I think there are pros and cons: food crisis, war crisis, mysterious zone crisis. If more than half of the population is to be eliminated in the future, no matter what, there is huge malice in the outside world. The only way is to develop ourselves and strengthen the military. There were many different opinions in the conference room. I don't think it has much to do with political factors. Professor Peter may be verifying the Gaia consciousness hypothesis. A young scholar raised his hand. His voice was a little soft. He was a newly joined doctor of biology. Suddenly, the rest of the discussion disappeared. Go on, Li Xianfeng tapped the table lightly. Speak freely, don't worry too much. The researcher cleared his throat and said, the Gaia consciousness hypothesis holds that the collective biological consciousness of the Earth, that is, Gaia, dominated the birth of the mirage in the mysterious area and also dominated the outbreak of the Earth disaster, and the collective psychological activities of human beings are an important part of Gaia consciousness. This mirage appeared last night. Because it was raining all the time and the scene inside was not very clear, it did not trigger a large-scale psychological reaction among all humans. It was not until this morning, 10 hours later, that public opinion completely exploded. This is very different from the past. The researcher paused and explained, in the past, the demise of the team of survivors in the mirage and the outbreak of the Earth disaster were often only a few minutes apart. It can be considered that an omnipotent God was dominating all this, but now, 10 hours have passed since this incident. The omnipotent God is equivalent to being ruled out. Will God be late for doing things? Of course not. If the change in the thinking of all mankind after the release of public opinion causes a huge change on the Earth, then the Gaia consciousness hypothesis will be verified to a certain extent. Even by manipulating global public opinion, it may be possible to affect some activities on the Earth. The room was silent for a while. I have to admit that this statement makes sense. If it is the omnipotent God who is in charge of everything, then it is impossible for God to be late. If it is Gaia consciousness, it is not surprising that there is a delay, because humans must know about this matter on a large scale for Gaia consciousness to be affected as well. The logic in the middle is a bit difficult to understand, but everyone present is smart and quickly figured out the logical relationship. Li Xianfeng frowned slightly. Can controlling the thinking of all mankind control the Earth? We have to guard against this. It's actually very difficult. Academician Jack, the oldest academician, took a sip of water and said, on the one hand, human thinking is the most complicated. The most difficult thing in the world is to put my thoughts into your mind. On the other hand, the global internet has been disconnected, and only a small number of people can access the internet. The success this time is because the mirage is a global topic with a huge influence. Even people who can't access the internet can look up and see the scene in the sky, so it has caused widespread discussion. If we change the topic, this is not possible. What's more, the behavioral characteristics of Gaia are still an unsolved mystery and it's not so easy to guide. Li Xianfeng nodded and flipped through the information for a while. Then what about the changes on the Earth? The consensus of the most powerful superpowers and human beings can't bring disaster to a country, right? Chapter 60 The Formation of Pangaea. There was a moment of silence in the conference room, and academician Jess said, it is highly unlikely to be a disaster. Even if there are people who hate the country and are being sarcastic on the internet, they are only a minority after all. The original Gaia consciousness may give Zhang Ming some benefits, making him stronger, etc. But now that Zhang Ming and others are not in the service area, there is nothing we can do. I think that an implicit consensus among all mankind is that we are the land of abundance. Therefore, the frequency of earthquakes in our country may be reduced, but this is not easy to count. Because the magnitude of global earthquakes has tended to be flat, unlike a month ago, when magnitude 8 earthquakes occurred frequently, and even magnitude 9 earthquakes occurred frequently, everyone was still frightened when they thought of the terrifying magnitude 9 earthquake. The scene of the collapse of the sky and the shattering of the sky, even looking down from the satellite images, was so overwhelming that it was hard to breathe. It is hard to imagine how desperate the humans trapped in the disaster area are. Fortunately, this earthquake did not occur in Daksha, otherwise everyone present would have no chance of continuing to work here. Academician Jet added, there is also a second possibility. The weather here may be good and the grain production may increase. Since Gaia consciousness can create things like mirages and earthquakes, it should be easy to control the weather. However, this also requires long-term observation to obtain evidence. As for the third possibility, there has been a subtle change in the movement trajectory of the plates. We originally expected that a Pangaea continent would be formed within 10 years. Now, under the influence of this wave of public opinion, the probability that our country is located in the center of Pangaea continent may increase significantly. The name of Pangaea continent was proposed by German geologist Alfred Wegener. In 1912, He proposed a hypothesis about crustal movement and the distribution of oceans and continents, continental drift theory. Wegener imagined that the world's continents were a unified whole in the Carboniferous period of the Paleozoic era, that is, 286 million to 360 million years ago, surrounded by vast oceans. After that, due to plate drift, Pangaea continent split into 7 continents. Today, 300 million years later, the advent of the supernatural era, the Earth's crust has moved again at a very fast speed, and once again formed a new Pangaea continent. In the center of Pangaea continent, the plates do not need to move, so earthquakes will become increasingly rare. 10 years later, we will border South America, North America, Oceania, and Antarctica. This is almost a foregone conclusion in geography. Upon hearing this news, Li Xianfeng's heart was once again filled with gloom. There is only one continent in the world, and the continents are bordering each other. Is this a good thing? Of course not. In the past, no matter how strong the Navy was, it had its limits. Even if it had multiple aircraft carriers, it could only bully small countries, and it was too difficult to destroy big countries. The Navy could not occupy enemy areas, and logistics supplies were relatively difficult. The Americans spent so much money to fight Afghanistan and Iraq, wasn't it because of logistics difficulties? But after the land borders, everything will be different. In the case of an already embarrassing living environment, the army's push can destroy a country and a clan. Li Xianfeng was shocked by the majestic power of nature, and was also worried that geological changes would bring about major changes in the global political landscape. 10 years later, the glaciers will melt, the sea level will rise, the land area will be greatly reduced, and food production will decrease. The remaining land will border each other and form the only continent on the planet. What will happen today? 10 years later, everyone became worried. Troubled times. Fresh eel meat, whether stir-fried, boiled, or steamed, has a unique flavor. The beautiful muscle texture is even more tender and silky than the most essential part of salmon. After a light rinse in hot water, the fish meat turns from orange-red to milky white. Pick it up with chopsticks, soak it in chilly water for a while, and put it into your mouth slowly. Suddenly, Zhang Ming's eyes lit up, and he felt that his taste buds were hit by the taste of lightning and fire at the same time. He actually tasted the electric current from lightning. The fish meat melted in the mouth and turned into hot current running around in the body. Every cell in the body was reveling because of this huge life force. Delicious. Delicious. What a pity, there are no onions, ginger and garlic. Without onions, ginger and garlic, it always feels lacking in taste. Gourmet, the world's first superpower, part-time archaeologist, Zhang Ming, is enjoying the delicacy he cooked, eel seafood hot pot. In an idle environment, his personal hobbies are nothing more than studying mathematics, writing articles, and being a shitter writer. Because he is really empty and bored. He wrote a line of text on the beach. Earthlings, the strongest in this world, have found a batch of precious treasures of extraterrestrial civilizations. Now there is only one last step. I need a rescue team to transport this batch of treasures back. After returning to Earth, you will immediately become billionaires, and wealth, fame and fortune will be at your fingertips. Come on, come on. The second hobby is cooking, studying the ultimate rendering of beauty and the ultimate presentation of deliciousness. Such high-quality ingredients, without careful cooking techniques, are simply a waste of natural resources. So he racked his brains every day, how to make himself eat better. After eating a few large pieces of shabu-shabu fish, his body was warm and he gained 4 attributes. The huge life energy made him feel full. The body's absorption capacity has a limit. Eating 2 meals in the morning and evening will give him about 8-10 attributes a day. It's not bad, Zhang Ming nodded seriously, pretending to be calm and indifferent. In fact, he was very happy. 10 attributes a day. 20 points of physical strength is the normal state of an adult. Now, he only needs 4 meals to grow the strength of an entire adult. What's not to be satisfied with the speed of becoming stronger? It's not bad. After hearing that sentence, the black stone next to the fire couldn't wait to repeat it. It was the repeater placed on the turtle altar. Zhang Ming talked with the old white turtle for a long time and picked it up. After all, it's a repeater. It's lively next to it and talking to people, so it doesn't seem so lonely. Hey, Shitao, do you know the universe? Zhang Ming finished his meal and carefully dissected the big eel, chatting with He-Shi. Shitao repeated the same words. Hey, Shitao, do you know the universe? Zhang Ming didn't care, Because his own mental state was not normal, and the conversation between lunatics was more interesting. The universe is the sum of all the planets. It is very large and empty. The small Milky Way has 200 or 300 billion stars, and each star is comparable to the Sun, or even larger. Such a huge Milky Way is just a grain of sand in the universe. I have always wondered, what is the meaning of such a vast universe? What is the purpose of human beings who can't even leave the solar system? Reproduction. Chapter 61, Human Limits. Stone repeated the words exactly. The old tone was like that of a robot without emotions. Humans who can't even leave the solar system, what is the purpose of living? To reproduce. Zhang Ming imitated Stone's tone and sighed. There are so many disputes in the world, and the distance between people is so far, sometimes even farther than the distance between stars. I understood a truth very early, that people are always lonely when they are alive. Zhang Ming held the ice spear and became more and more skilled in his work. The flesh and bones were constantly separated, and the feeling of harvest was actually a little refreshing. But now this kind of loneliness is really cruel. I am talking to myself in front of a stone, just like those crazy mental patients in the hospital. The skin of the eel seems to be quite tough. With the help of the sharp characteristics of the ice spear, it can be peeled off completely, and a piece of clothing with protective ability can be made in the future. Stone. Zhang Ming's chatterbox seemed to shock the stone, so much so that it was stunned in place, and even forgot to repeat. Old Zhang talked to himself again. When I was a child, I wanted a skateboard, but my family wouldn't give me one. So I made one with 4 bearings at home and a wooden board I picked up on the street. Because my carpentry skills were terrible, the friction was too great after I made it, so I couldn't turn. But it was okay, I could slide on a slope, but the good times didn't last long. At lunch that day, my father discussed with me that he wanted to use those bearings, saying that they were needed for the anti-theft doors of the store. That's definitely not possible. It took me a whole weekend to make that thing, so I refused. My father ran to the kitchen without saying a word, picked up a kitchen knife and chopped my skateboard. In fact, he could have just pulled out the bearings, but he had to use such a tragic method. I remember it very clearly. I cried and shouted towards the kitchen, heartbreakingly, why did I make this pulley? But he ignored me, closed the door and left. After a few minutes, I realized that there was no solution to this problem, so I accepted it calmly. At this point, Zhang Ming stretched his body carelessly, took a deep breath, and said, Dad may have forgotten about this a long time ago. My relationship with him has never been very good, from childhood to adulthood. He doesn't care, and I don't care much either. However, I have been locked up in this godforsaken place recently, and I have figured out a lot of things. After all, he is my dad, one of the people closest to me. If I can go home, I want to have a drink with him face to face and tell him about the stories that happened to me recently. Everything else doesn't matter. The stone repeated the words exactly, probably because there were too many words, and it missed a lot of content for a while. Godforsaken place, godforsaken place, one person and one stone, like crazy, repeated like crazy. The golden electric eel skin is like a long strip of smooth carpet, but this thing still needs to be carefully tended to maintain its flexibility for a long time. Zhang Ming was going to find some limestone and forge it. As long as he could get alkaline substances such as calcium oxide, he could tan this piece of fish skin. And the large pieces of eel meat, each piece was as big as a bowl. And the joy of the harvest made Zhang Ming unable to stop. The bones of the electric eel were like the cylindrical bones of pigs, thick and thick, tougher than steel, with some ligament-like soft tissues on them, which looked delicious and could not be wasted. Zhang Ming carefully removed these soft tissues. In the past, he would definitely find a way to process these fish bones into handy weapons. But at this moment, with a strange object ice spear, the fish bones were not so meaningful. Shi Tao, are you asleep, Shi Tao? Why didn't you repeat? The black stone trembled on the ground, regained its strength, and began to repeat, why didn't you repeat? Let me tell you about my mother. She is a dexterous person who can cook rich dishes with simple food. I admire her creativity in cooking very much. She likes to buy a spare rib and make a broth with half a chicken. Then she chopped the spare rib meat and chicken, add diced shrimp, mushrooms, bamboo shoots, fungus, carrots, cabbage, and wrap them into small wontons of various shapes. Take a large bowl, put seaweed and shrimp skin on it, put in the cooked wontons, pour the boiled broth on it, and sprinkle with chopped green onions. This bowl of wontons is my favorite breakfast. Zhang Ming recalled the past with a faint smile on his face. However, my mother also has some shortcomings in her character. She likes to play mahjong. It is normal for housewives to play mahjong, but one time, my sister wanted to eat strawberries, which cost 20 yuan a pound, but she was reluctant to buy them. This is nothing. It is normal for parents to refuse their children's requests. What I remember most clearly is that she lost 1 or 2,000 yuan playing mahjong that night. After returning home, she complained loudly that she was not popular and lost a lot of money, so my sister muttered with an unhappy face, "I would rather lose 1 or 2,000 yuan a day, but I can't bear to buy strawberries that cost 20 yuan a pound." Then she turned around and scolded my sister, "You see, human beings themselves are creatures full of contradictions and chaos. Instead of pinning your hopes on others, it is better to strive for self-improvement." Lao Zhang chopped the fish meat viciously with a knife, just like a butcher in a slaughterhouse. "It is better to strive for self-improvement." The stone repeated it exactly the same after a long time. A breeze blew, and it rolled on the ground a few times. It took a whole morning to process this big eel. The fish meat was probably 600 kilograms, and the scales, bones and various fish offal were even heavier. They were all traded to the turtle. With the ice spear, keeping food fresh and cold was no longer a big problem. Zhang Ming liked the ice spear very much and was about to insert it into the coconut water tank as a refrigerator. But he was reluctant to do so. "If I challenge the boss and find that the spear has a fishy smell, will it damage the image of a hermit?" After careful consideration, he first inserted the ice spear into the bucket to stimulate its supernatural activity and let the water condense into ice. Then put the ice cubes into the bottom of the coconut tank. Zhang Ming dug a small pit more than 1 meter deep on the ground, put the coconut water tank in it, and finally put clothes on it to keep it warm. In this way, it can be frozen and preserved for a long time. After finishing all the work, I couldn't help but lie on the beach, sighing. "The good days are still to come, the good days are still to come." The black stone repeated exactly as it was. Zhang Ming didn't hesitate. "How about I give you a name?" In a blink of an eye, 3 months passed quietly again. Zhang Ming, 25 years old. There were a few lazy cumulonimbus clouds floating in the blue sky. The hot sun made people's bodies hot, and there was not even a trace of cool breeze on the seashore with rolling waves. This crazy and lonely day, men will be silent when they see it, and women will cry when they see it. Pick up a stone at random and throw it towards the sea. The stone made a whistling dragon roar, and the violent friction with the air made hundreds of water skips in the sea. Zhang Ming took a deep breath and roared at the sky, "I'm so bored that I've even mastered the skill of skipping stones on water. I can now participate in the competition." The sky did not respond. Only a bird was flying. A ball of bird droppings fell from the sky, which Zhang Ming dodged nimbly. On the other hand, the heat flow from the golden eel meat was decreasing rapidly. From the initial 10 attribute points per day, it has been reduced to the current 3 attribute points per day. It is expected that the attribute growth effect will completely disappear after a month. Of course, in addition to the electric eel meat, Zhang Ming also exchanged a lot of seafood from the turtle, but the attribute points brought by these foods are far less than those of the electric eel meat. Therefore, his current attribute panel is physique. 200/200, you are as strong as a miniature excavator. This metaphor is still so vivid that Zhang Ming doesn't know what to complain about. But to be honest, 10 times the human strength can't actually beat an excavator, right? Perception. 200/200, you are more sensitive than Super Lynx, spirit. 112/200, your mind is more determined, but loneliness is getting deeper and harder to dispel, lifespan. 25/544, you are the super centenarian among humans, almost catching up with Peng Zhu, total attributes. 1144, you have reached the bottleneck of the first stage of humanity, and need to find a way to open the next stage. Superpowers, power burst, activated, toxin resistance, activated, dynamic vision, activated, lightning control, activated, black tortoise breathing, activated, eagle eye, not activated, decay lover, not activated, hoarding rat, not activated, feces mania, not activated. More and more superpowers are activated, and the number of unactivated abilities is more than 20. But Zhang Ming found that he had reached a special bottleneck. Just like the first stage of human bottleneck described, in addition to the unlimited increase in lifespan, when the 3 dimensions of physique, perception, and spirit are added to 200, a strange degeneration phenomenon occurs. Every time it breaks through to 201, after a while, it will fall back to 200. After trying many times in a row, degeneration phenomenon occurred. Zhang Ming didn't quite understand how to break through this bottleneck. In order to reduce attribute waste, he could only add all the attribute points he got to lifespan. In other words, he immediately turned from a short-lived ghost into an old man. If I don't break through the bottleneck, I can only add infinite points to my lifespan. Although lifespan is a good thing, it can't be converted into combat power. If you encounter danger, you will still die. Holding this worry, Zhang Ming sat under the shade of the tree and thought seriously about his current situation. He should be the first human in the world to encounter the first stage bottleneck. 10 times the normal human body is already very strong. It can jump up to a 2- or 3-story building with a light jump. It is as easy as holding up a huge coconut weighing 300 kilograms in one hand. The body's resistance and immunity have been greatly enhanced. However, there has never been a corresponding news report on the Earth, which means that there is no such person at all. The strongest human being is very troubled. P.S. This chapter has 3,000 words, so you won't say I'm watered down. After it's online, it'll be 3,000 words in 2 chapters. It should be online next week on Wednesday. Some people say that writing about supporting characters is watered down. In fact, the content about the Earth will be greatly reduced later. These supporting characters are used to support the plot of the Earth. I have to write them. Without these supporting characters, the Earth will have no familiar faces. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 62, Zuanwu Breathing Technique. Humans have their limits. Even if you cheat, you still only have the power of a small excavator. It is impossible to break the void. I have never seen an excavator soar in the daytime. How to be a non-human is a big question. Zhang Ming once wrote on the beach of anything should be done that he encountered a bottleneck, but no corresponding broadcast information was sent. So, he understood one of the truths: the people on Earth are too bad. They have never encountered such a thing, and no one has touched the so-called bottleneck. In other words, the people on Earth are in a bottleneck state at all times. Most of the superpowers of human beings have no growth at all. Their debut is the peak, and then they stay where they are. Even if there are many smart experts and professors on Earth, how can they understand and give solutions if they have never encountered similar things? Can 200 points of physical strength support me to swim back to Earth? It shouldn't be. How to break through the bottleneck of the first stage of human beings? Could it be to activate more superpowers? Zhang Ming rubbed his temples in annoyance, analyzing the abilities that he had not yet activated. Hoarding Madrat was obtained from a nutria-like creature. Its specific ability is to speed up metabolism, allowing oneself to eat more and grow a lot of fat quickly. This ability may be used in some special circumstances, but it is basically useless for Zhang Ming. Even the daily attribute growth has a limit. If it increases by 10 points every day, it is basically a kind of saturation at the soul level. What's the point of growing fat on the body? That nutria is really delicious, just as tender and juicy as beef. Zhang Ming licked his lips. It would be great if I could catch a few more. Feces mania is a superpower that changes self-cognition. It is obtained from a kind of insect and can actually change human disgust for a feces and regard it as a magical delicacy. Unfortunately, Zhang Ming chose to refuse. Rotten lovers, the ability to eat rot is useful in many occasions, but it is unlikely to help break through the bottleneck, and it is a bit expensive. After eliminating the unactivated abilities one by one, Zhang Ming always felt that these abilities were of little use. So he focused his attention on the latest Zuanwu breathing technique. Zuanwu breathing technique is an ability obtained from a turtle egg. It consumes a full 96 attribute points, which is a level more expensive than lightning control. When Zhang Ming got this ability, he was shocked by its strange introduction. Zuanwu breathing technique. Zuanwu is the North Pole. After activating this ability, every breath you take will plunder the heaven and earth to enhance your own spirit and energy. It requires 96 attribute points to activate. This price is ridiculously expensive and looks awesome, so Zhang Ming chose to activate it when the attributes were still abundant. But in actual application, it was found that it was not very useful. He was cheated. 1 month of breathing technique training may only increase 1 attribute point. Although it is free, it is too slow, 96 months to pay back. Only turtles, which are extremely long-lived creatures, can withstand such a slow growth rate. Facing the waves, Zhang Ming thought seriously about his current situation. In fact, it's not because of my superpowers, but because I'm a bad user. The Zhuanwu breathing technique, if practiced to the end, can grow to the continental level. Just like the dead giant turtle under your feet, it can support a civilization when it is alive. Lightning control can also be practiced to the level of a golden electric eel. A silver-white electric light appeared in his palm, making a crackling sound. It was as thick as a toothpick and could be released a distance of 30 meters. But it was completely unable to reach the level of a golden electric eel. That was overwhelming and formed a dazzling silver ring. The electric light I control now is so-so, but if you compare goods, you will throw them away, and if you compare people, you will die. How can it be just a small toothpick? Zhang Ming took the small toothpick and crackled in the water to produce hydrogen and oxygen. The first ability I got, Power Burst, can theoretically reach a 5000% power increase, but I have been using it until now, and it is still at the 50% level. Occasionally, I can achieve a 100% minus 200% increase, which is limited to this. Is it really the so-called blackened 10 times stronger, whitened 3 points weaker? No, it is not. After careful research, Zhang Ming believes that the main reason is the huge difference in the structure of humans and monsters. If the source of superpowers is really due to the flow of spirits, the difference in body structure naturally brings about huge differences in efficiency. The dual bottlenecks of attributes and abilities are in front of him. This is the first time Zhang Ming has deeply thought about the true nature of superpowers. My research on spirit still stays on the surface, except for the attribute panel, which is innate. The rest of the abilities are acquired. Without in-depth exploration, there is not much room for development. It's like solving calculus. Simply copying can only solve some simple problems. Slightly more complicated changes cannot be made. Thinking of this, Zhang Ming moved out a few ancient stone slabs found in the turtle cave and studied them carefully. The humid environment of the turtle cave cannot preserve items, so most of the written materials of the Yanjiao civilization have been erased by time. Only these stone slabs with strange symbols have been preserved almost intact because of their special materials. The stone slabs are also covered with a thick layer of colloid, perhaps left by mosses and mollusks. Zhang Ming was very patient and gently scraped off the covering with a knife. The rustling sound kept ringing on the beach. He always felt that these carefully carved stone slabs contained some special opportunities. Whenever he carefully touched the symbolic characters, some strange thoughts would arise in his mind, and a stream of indescribable mumblings would continue to generate in his mind, as if there was an old man who was demonstrating something. At the same time, the spirit in the body would be aroused by these mysterious symbols, and it would flow spontaneously, forming a subtle heat flow. The heritage of an ancient civilization that has existed for a long time in the mysterious area is indeed extraordinary. The text symbols that can evoke the illusion of human thinking are simply unheard of on Earth. What is recorded on the stone tablet should be some special way of cultivation. If the national expedition team comes here, they will be ecstatic. There is no way to cultivate superpowers on Earth. Zhang Ming has heard this from the radio. Human superpowers can only be awakened innately and cannot be trained. It's a pity that Zhang Ming has no expectations for the arrival of the national team. I guess after 100 years, no one will come to save me. I guess after 100 years, no one will come to save me. The black stone couldn't wait to repeat it, and Zhang Ming actually heard a hint of joy in its old voice. Chapter 63. From now on, I'll call you Shimima. After so many days of conversation, the stone seemed to have made a little progress. Sometimes it was very silent, especially when Lao Zhang was lamenting about life and complaining, because it spoke too fast and was emotional. It could not keep up with the rhythm and could only remain silent. Sometimes it repeated madly, especially when Lao Zhang cursed the sky. It followed and cursed. It has its own unique emotions. Zhang Ming also gradually got used to the neurotic repetition of the stone. He closed his eyes and followed the cultivation method recorded on the stone slab to feel the changes in the spirit in his body. The high 200 points of perception and spirit gave him a kind of inner vision effect. His heart beat vigorously, the blood flowed regularly, the alveoli expanded and contracted, and the thousands of lines in the human body slowly appeared in his mind. Coincidentally, it started to rain at the same time. The weather on the deserted island changes at any time. The falling raindrops bring thousands of ripples and various sound sources, such as the beach, palm leaves, coconuts, gravel, and some insects crawling in the grass. In the distance, there is a big fish with a body length of more than 4 meters. It jumps high, and with a light splash, it sinks back into the sea. Zhang Ming seems to sense the spirit flowing in his body and the thin spirit in the sky. The essence of the practice method on the stone slab is to absorb the inactive spirit between heaven and earth into the body through breathing to strengthen oneself, which has the meaning of ancient Qigong practitioners. But for some reason, this set of practice methods has a sense of awkwardness and obstruction for Zhang Ming, especially when it flows to the top of the head. The feeling of obstruction expands rapidly. In the end, the part of the spirit absorbed is less than 1 in 100. Zhang Ming opened his eyes again and exhaled a breath of turbid air in his chest. He seems to have become a little stronger. And because of the bottleneck, he quickly retreated back. It's terribly inefficient. I can't increase any attribute in a month. The Yanjiao people have horns on their heads, while humans don't. This difference makes the final results very different. The difference in race makes this set of practice methods impossible to promote on humans. Can I try to improve it? Zhang Ming frowned and used the Zhuangwu breathing technique again. The principle of the Zhuangwu breathing technique is similar to the breathing technique recorded on the stone tablet. Zhang Ming seriously suspected that the practice method invented by the Yanjiao people was a simple version improved from the Zhuangwu breathing technique. The Zhuangwu breathing technique is more complex and changeable, and more mysterious. For the same reason, the spirit absorbed by the Zhuangwu breathing technique needs to be circulated through a turtle back. Zhang Ming does not have a turtle back, which makes the Zhuangwu breathing technique very inefficient and not worthy of the high price of 96 attribute points. Zhang Ming opened his eyes and wrote a few words on the beach. Take the essence and discard the dross. Most of the abilities learned from animals need to be self-transformed. The ones that are suitable for your own body structure are the strongest. If the Yanjiao people can transform the Zhuangwu breathing technique, why can't I? He possesses 5 abilities. And although he only knows a little bit, he is already the human who understands the flow of spirits the most for the entire Earth civilization. In addition, he has a large amount of heritage left by the Yanjiao people, which can be studied. I need to find a way of practice suitable for humans. If I don't find it, the future of mankind may be very difficult. Unconsciously, Zhang Ming had such an idea. Above the clear blue sky, the fish scale-like translucent cumulus clouds floated lazily, and a few seabirds flew through the air. After seeing Zhang Ming, they cried a few times and hurried away. Archaeology, advanced mathematics, playing with turtles, playing with stones, eating bird eggs, this leisurely, lazy and comfortable island life seems to last forever. But the Earth civilization far away is undergoing drastic changes. The confrontation between Gaia consciousness and the mysterious zone is constantly losing the wind. The real great era has not even arrived, and humans are already so miserable. And I am the pioneer of the times, and I want to find a way out for mankind. If I don't do it, no one else can. When this inexplicable thought came to him, Zhang Ming shook his head heavily, looked up at the sky, and complained, is it because hydrogen bombs are not enough, or because planes and tanks can't lift the knife? Or am I completely crazy? Shitao couldn't wait to repeat, completely crazy. This guy is like a dog seeing fresh manure, especially Zhang Ming's self-deprecating words. It will repeat them excitedly dozens of times, and the whole body is shaking with joy. But for some reason, this inexplicable pioneer emotion lingered in Zhang Ming's mind for a long time. It seems that there is a mysterious existence on the beach, conveying this heavy belief. Is it the Gaia consciousness on the earth that is making trouble? Zhang Ming scratched his scalp and finally sighed. Shitao, you have to help me. I know you are actually intelligent and can understand human language, so you have to help me. I want to decipher the text of ancient civilizations and learn more information. Please translate the content on the stone tablet. I really can't understand the text of the Yanjiao people, Shitao repeated. I really can't understand the text of the Yanjiao people, Zhang Ming said seriously. As long as you help me, I will tell you the interesting stories that happened to me and my first girlfriend in high school. Shitao trembled slightly, emitting heat with excitement. Interesting stories with my first girlfriend. The topics that Blackstone is most interested in are, first, the philosophy of life, that is, the shabby things of other people's families. It is particularly interested in the gossip of the family. The second is the philosophy of the universe, the fate of civilization, and a series of grand narratives that are false and empty. When talking about these two topics, it rarely repeats them, always listening silently without saying a word. Zhang Ming has always felt that its nature is actually lewd and gossipy, and it is a real slave. The repeater is just its superficial disguise. Now I'll give you a name, Shimama. You'll be called Shimama from now on. Let's call you Shimama from now on, the stone repeated. So, you have to tell me the words on this slate, and I'll tell you a story. There was a long silence. Suddenly, a series of strange tones came from the stone. At a syllable proportion the syllables seemed so strange that in just a moment, a hazy illusion surged in Zhang Ming's mind. Just like a dream, an illusion appeared. An old man from the Yanjiao civilization was teaching students earnestly and kindly about the workings of the spirit. Even in Zhang Ming's ears, he could still hear the old man's words. When practicing the Yanjiao breathing technique to a certain level, you will feel a sense of heat in the sharp corners, or form a spiritual feeling. This is the manifestation of the gathering and storage of spirits. Suddenly, Zhang Ming's pupils dilated and he was surprised. Chapter 64 I really don't want to live forever on a deserted island. The old man Yanjiao in the hallucination drew a series of complex patterns on the blackboard, muttering, through further training, this part of the spirit will flow through the meridian system throughout the body. You will feel a stream of hot air extending backwards to the tail Yan, Jiaji, Yazhan, Beihu and other acupoints of the Du channel meridian, and then forward and downwards along the Ren channel meridian to the Tansong acupoint. This mysterious illusion is like a daydream, which can be broken with a poke. It is not harmful. It is a special means of communication. Zhang Ming opened his eyes and looked at Shimama with some doubt. The black stone lay quietly on the ground. Is this guy so awesome? He thought about it and tried to run the so-called Yanjiao breathing technique according to the method described by the old man. It was still useless. The flow of spirit is indeed more accurate and smooth, but because the human skull is born with one less horn than the Yanjiao people, many steps are impossible to complete. Unless he, Zhang, can grow a bull horn. It's the same reason. This set of cultivation methods is flawed for humans. Shimama, do you have a plan for improvement? The stone didn't speak. After all, it was just a repeater. It had heard the preaching and answering questions of the Yanjiao people thousands of years ago, so it just repeated them exactly the same now. But the so-called improvement plan for humans did not exist in history at all, so there was no way to answer it. Take your time. It's better to understand some principles. It's better than me trying to do it alone. Zhang Ming was not discouraged. You repeat it again, and I'll learn it again. In the repeated attempts, time passed quietly, and the sun moved from the east to the west. A day of doing nothing passed. Except for eating some fish and increasing my lifespan by a few years, it seemed that nothing had been accomplished. That damn lifespan can increase by several years every day, and Lao Zhang always has a weird illusion. God, I really don't want to live forever on a deserted island. Seeing that it was getting dark, Zhang Ming took the black stone and went to the mangroves. Shimama seems to be quite awesome. Not only can she speak human language, but she can also repeat the history of Yanjiao people. Although it is a shameless repeater, it knows a lot of information. It's a good deal. In the humid mangroves, without the former jungle overlord, the golden electric eel, the turtle group finally gained a foothold in the mangroves. This is the area with the most abundant sunlight and the most abundant food. The original turtle caves can accommodate two limited populations, which cannot be compared with the mangroves. Ah, the little white turtle ran over happily. They caught a big fish and were sharing it. It greeted warmly and asked Zhang Ming to come and eat some, and eat something spicy by the way. Oh, you want to eat spicy? No problem, today I will show you the terrifying power of chopped pepper fish head. Zhang Ming took out a big iron pot he carried with him, and a small lightning flashed in his hand. With a light squeak, the firewood was ignited. Then put the fish head in and stewed it. The turtles who advocate civilization and the people who want to return to civilization are gathered together at this moment. The common language of the two sides is actually only food, play, and the ancient civilization that has disappeared. It was an intoxicating era. After thousands and tens of thousands of years, it has evolved into a vast ocean. Only the remains of the basalt remain, burying the unsolved mysteries of the past. This is also the beginning of an era. The human civilization, which has fallen off a cliff, is accelerating and seems to never look back. On the edge of the campfire, a person and a group of turtles are enjoying today's dinner. as if everything in the world has nothing to do with him. At 6:30 in the evening, the radio played on time. Listeners, good evening, everyone. I am announcer Li Xianfeng, and I will bring you today's news. After just 3 months of war, country announced unconditional surrender. The enemy can take all the territory, but must accept all the residents and merge the two countries into one country. Good guy, it's really good. Zhang Ming was stunned. It turns out that the war was launched in the end to do this tricky Operation Surrender. The best way to defeat the other side is to join the other side. But are the opponents so stupid? This is the first step towards world peace, really? Did they really accept this condition? Zhang Ming could not quite understand the political intentions, or maybe there were some inexplicable things going on. Anyway, this strange big thing really happened on Earth. Radio. After 6 months of geological investigation, the merger of the Pangaea continent has become a foregone conclusion. According to the current speed of plate movement, 9 years from now, the 7 continents will officially merge into one continent, which is the real Pangaea continent. Zhang Ming rubbed his temples. This news had been broadcast a few days ago, but now it was broadcast again. What's going on? Thinking of the previous news, he suddenly had a glimmer of enlightenment in his heart. Some places have too large a territory, too small a population, low war potential, and poor industrial capacity. If these continents merge, they will be like lambs among wolves. Therefore, they took the initiative to accept more people, otherwise they would not be able to defend that little territory. Sure enough, behind every outrageous choice, there is a series of logical support, and Li Xianfeng is also full of bad water. He deliberately broadcast 2 news stories side by side so that people can hear the subtext. Alice, the days on Earth are not peaceful, and the undercurrent is turbulent. Radio, the first global joint mysterious zone expedition, with the ultimate goal of finding the heritage of alien civilizations, was declared a failure after a month of exploration. Of the 3 large expedition ships, only one successfully returned, and the other 2 expedition ships were attacked by powerful supernatural forces, and a total of 2,000 special forces were killed. Zhang Ming felt cold in his heart. These expedition teams are not comparable to cruise ships and cargo ships. They must have carried large-scale war weapons, but they were still destroyed. 2,000 people sounds like just a number, but for global scientific expeditions, it is tantamount to a heavy blow. What's more, this expedition team is likely to be looking for him. Zhang Ming didn't know how to describe this feeling, or let them not come to die. Of course, this appeal may be meaningless. No matter what, humans will explore the mysterious area, which is an unimaginable huge cake. Even if he is dead, the expedition team will still set off. Chapter 65, It is only natural to pay back your debts. The last chapter was blocked, so you have to wait. Radio. As the mysterious area continues to occupy the Earth's space, the current number of superpowers in the human world has reached 100,000, but the corresponding scientific research progress is slow, and most of the theories are only superficial and cannot explain the essence of superpowers in depth. Most people do not grow much after awakening their superpowers. The contradiction between superpowers and ordinary people is becoming increasingly prominent. My listeners from far away, do you have any good solutions? Have you made progress? Zhang Ming was silent. He knew that Li Xianfeng was asking him, and there was still some tacit understanding. To be able to truly sense the flow of spirits, at least 150 points of perception and mental upper limit are required, otherwise it can only be attributed to body heat flow. However, the current scientific instruments of mankind cannot detect the so-called body heat flow at all. Because of this contradiction, the study of supernatural disciplines has become an academic black box. People only know that this black box can work, but they don't know the real principle. But this time, Zhang Ming really has no way. Adding attributes to himself is his innate ability, and he can't teach it to others. Now, after physique, perception, and spirit increased to 200 points, they also fell into a bottleneck. The rest of the acquired abilities have not grown at all. Bottleneck, bottleneck. If I don't break through the bottleneck, I will not be able to cross the mysterious area and will be trapped here for the rest of my life. The Earthlings don't have any good solutions. Zhang Ming looked at the turtles playing lively by the fire, calling each other "ah-woo ah-woo." The turtles ate delicious food and drank spicy drinks without any worries. But he couldn't join them. The blazing flames danced, reflecting a lonely shadow. Will he have to depend on these turtles for the rest of his life? Bottleneck, bottleneck, Zhang Ming lamented. Adieu, Iruto. Suddenly, The long silent Shimama repeated something. This string of mysterious voices, transmitted to Zhang Ming's mind, inexplicably became bottleneck. Bottleneck. It seemed that thousands and tens of thousands of years ago, an individual of the Yanjiao civilization also made exactly the same sigh. So, this scene was memorized by the repeater Shimama. Zhang Ming raised his head and came back to his senses, and found that Shimama was still going on. Ashidori. The specific meaning outlined in his mind was, Zuanwu, so powerful, but still has a bottleneck. Its lifespan has reached 1,000,000 years. If it does not break through the realm of the gods, it will die due to the exhaustion of its lifespan. Even if it is so powerful, it will still die. The Zuanwu breathing technique of 1,000,000 years has left it with no signs of decline. Its lifespan is approaching its limit. If it does not break through, those things will come and it will die. These strange words rushed into Zhang Ming's mind like a movie. Several Yanjiao people dressed in gorgeous clothes were talking in the magnificent hall. They were obviously higher-ranking people in high positions. Their faces were blurred, but they were worried about the future of the Yanjiao clan to the extreme. Are we ready for that day? Who knows? After all, once Zuanwu dies, we will be buried with him. Let them leave on a wooden boat. I have thought about it. Let them leave. This plan must be carried out. Once they leave, they will become homeless people. Without the protection of their hometown, how long can they survive? Shimama stopped repeating here. What's next? What's next? Zhang Ming urged, feeling anxious. The true story of thousands and tens of thousands of years ago was in front of him. It felt like a cat's claw scratching. In particular, the individual combat power of the Yanjiao people is definitely countless times stronger than that of the Earthlings. They may have mastered some breakthrough techniques. Shimama has been silent. This guy's temper is a bit unpredictable. Even if it knows a lot of stories, it doesn't want to tell them, and no one can do anything about it. It suddenly said, as long as you help me, I will tell you the interesting stories of my first love girlfriend in high school. Zhang Ming cursed 3 times in his heart. This guy still remembers this sentence. Because I don't seem to have paid back my debt. How much do you miss my first love? It's only natural to pay back debts. Helplessly, Zhang Ming reluctantly paid back his debt. Half an hour later, Shimama was very satisfied with the magical story of Zhang Ming and his first love were caught by the dean on the spot and continued to repeat it. Yadhuma, to Shittingal the vague illusion appeared again. The Yanjiao people were still arguing, even if they become lost people, so what? Entering the Sea of Demons still has a glimmer of hope. Did our ancestors suffer in the Sea of Demons for a long time before they found the opportunity to rise? I let them take away many precious and rare objects. As long as they can find a new world, they can always reproduce in the new world. It only takes 100 years to recover their vitality. If we stay here, once the Zuanwu fails to break through, we will all die. We must keep a backup plan to allow civilization to continue. You don't have confidence in Zuanwu? Yes, I don't. This level is too difficult. The Yanjiao people cannot be extinct here. Let the children go. The blurred pictures kept switching. These Yanjiao people took a flying vehicle and flew in the sky. Zhang Ming finally saw the huge Zuanwu's true body. It was really a continent suspended on the ocean. Large tracts of ancient buildings stood like fish scales on the vast and unimaginable turtle back. Lush jungles, solemn mountains, gurgling water, all kinds of terrains. A giant turtle can actually carry a civilization. Zhang Ming can hardly estimate the high level of power of this turtle. However, a powerful existence that can hold up a world can also fall one day. Such despair is unimaginable. The Sea of Demons, lost hometown, God's realm, these strange and bizarre terms, make Zhang Ming feel an indescribable sense of magic. Shimama's repetition ended here, which made Zhang Ming lose interest and urged for a long time. What happened later? No more, but it's not Shimama's fault, because the group of people in the carriage were silent. No one spoke, so naturally there was no way to repeat, and no hallucinations could be created in the mind. Okay, learn to have your own thinking, don't repeat others all day long, Shimama said sullenly. Then, it fell into long, incomprehensible silence, as if it was dead. Chapter 66 Will the Earth be invaded? Arwu, seeing that they were in a bad mood, the little white turtle ran up and nudged the talking black stone with its head. Shimama rolled like a small ball. More turtles joined in playing with Shimama, kicking it around like a ball. Shimama let them play with it, and at the same time repeated the Arwu, Arwu language of the turtles. It is a real master of language, and understands the languages of the Yanjiao people, humans, turtles, and the illusory spiritual language that can create hallucinations. Zhang Ming yawned, thinking about the magical scene just now. The Zuanwu, who looked like a god descending from heaven, could actually die. The difficulty of crossing the mysterious area rose several levels in his mind. It's difficult. I wanted to swim back originally, but now I have to find a way to build a boat, a big boat. Shimima, what is a lost person? Shimima rolled on the ground in a lewd manner, repeating frantically, Arwu. Arwu. The turtles also frantically fiddled with a black stone. What worship? What great stone on the altar? Who cares? Kick it first. I'm asking you. Shimima was very happy to be kicked. Its nature was indeed lewd. Once it started playing, it forgot everything. Arwu. Arwu. After asking for a long time, Shimima did not answer, so Zhang Ming had to give up and lay down in the Faraday cage board. This carefully crafted iron cage is his second base. There is a first-class reclining chair inside, which is quite comfortable for sleeping. But at this moment, he tossed and turned, but couldn't fall asleep. There were thousands of thoughts in his mind. If we interpret it literally, the lost people are people who have lost their hometown. In the cognition of the Yanjiao people, losing their hometown will cost them a very serious price. This price is not as simple as the destruction of their homeland. We must find a new world to solve this hidden danger. However, finding a new world must not be so easy, otherwise the Yanjiao people would not have to be so worried. Thinking of this, Zhang Ming thought of another possibility. For the Yanjiao people, isn't the Earth a new world? Faced with various supernatural phenomena, the Earthlings are really bad, and can only gain some experience and lessons at the cost of human lives. The Earthlings don't even have a way to practice. However, in large-scale racial wars, especially in the elimination of their own kind, the Earthlings are really good experts. So Zhang Ming doesn't think that a mere ancient civilization can beat the Earthlings. If the Yanjiao civilization invades the Earth, it would be a good result if they don't catch those guys and put them in the museum for display. However, in this vast ocean, are there more lost people? Why did these civilizations lose their hometowns? Was the world destroyed? Will the Earth be invaded? Is there a super individual more powerful than Zuanwu? Can the so-called God Realm individual fight against a real hydrogen bomb? Zhang Ming was confused and had no one to discuss with. In the end, he could only close his eyes in depression and force himself to close his eyes and rest. Will the Earth eventually be destroyed? I'm afraid no one knows the answer to this question. The only worrying thing is that with a successful rescue of the other two teams trapped in the mysterious area, there is now only a mirage in the sky. Moreover, this mirage showed signs of instability. The picture became more and more blurred, intermittent, and occasionally there were signs of not appearing directly. This means that Gaia's consciousness is constantly weakening. Daksha. In a special room, Comrade Li Xianfang of the Special Affairs Processing Department was facing a group of superiors and making a recent investigation report. Everyone participating in the video conference is a person at the top of the pyramid, and every decision made can affect the fate of thousands of people. The successful rescue of the two teams is really hard work. In the past few months, more than 50 trapped compatriots have returned, which is an exciting thing, one of the old men wearing reading glasses said slowly, but what puzzles me is that the mysterious area is so dangerous. How did these two teams come back successfully? It can be described as a miracle, right? And the 3 exploration teams we sent out to explore the new world, so many excellent soldiers, including super-powered people, only 1 week, 2 of them were lost? Such a huge loss, we can't afford it. Xiao Li, you have to know that before we figure out the reason, it is difficult for us to send more people to explore randomly. Li Xianfang took a deep breath and sorted out the information at hand. One of the 2 destroyed warships was destroyed by a super life. That guy might be as big as a mountain and even have the ability to be invisible. With a slight movement, the huge wave overturned the warship. All people, including that warship, were swallowed up. On another ship, the soldiers went crazy for no apparent reason, and like lemmings, they lined up in neat rows and jumped into the sea one by one. According to the last electronic image sent back, they may have heard an unknown siren song, and then all went crazy, without exception. Humans understand too little about the supernatural. Nuclear bombs are powerful, but they can't be fired in all directions, let alone used inside warships. How to enhance the combat capability of individual soldiers, especially the mental resistance, is the top priority at present. If you can't find a way to deal with it, you will die. Commanders, we believe that the two survivor teams can escape back thousands of miles, not only because of our timely assistance, but more likely, it is the deliberate protection of Gaia consciousness, and the warships we sent out are not protected by Gaia, so the probability of encountering a crisis will be greater. Li Xianfeng paused here. Go on, the old man's voice said, although we are old, we still have the ability to accept new things. Li Xianfeng pondered for a moment. Gaia consciousness is the strongest idealistic life standing on the side of the earth after the advent of the supernatural era. Influenced by human ideology, it will help humans to a certain extent, but it will not help without reservation. Gaia consciousness may think that the action of humans sending expedition teams is not beneficial to the existence of the earth, or it is just an insignificant matter, so it did not provide shelter. As for the safety of the two teams of survivors in the Mirage, it is a special consensus reached by all mankind, so it provided shelter, resulting in the two ships not encountering so many monsters along the way. Chapter 67 Hidden Dangers on Earth. The old man seemed to be thinking about something, then frowned and asked, so as long as we manipulate global public opinion and make humans reach a consensus, we can further influence Gaia, and the exploration team we send may be able to get Gaia's protection. Li Xianfeng glanced at the information and shook his head. It is possible. But it is too difficult for the human group to reach a consensus. The current geopolitical conflicts are constantly escalating, wars are frequent, and people can hardly survive. Where can we talk about consensus? What's more, we believe that Gaia consciousness is in a process of continuous decline. The influence of the mysterious area on the Earth is constantly expanding. If it were not for the large-scale displacement of the plates, some continents would have been swallowed up by the mysterious area. We have enough reason to suspect that the current movement of the plates, which eventually formed the Pangu continent, is a kind of self-protection of the Earth by Gaia consciousness. The confrontation between the mysterious area and Gaia consciousness is long-lasting and continuous. From a 100-year perspective, we believe that Gaia consciousness will undoubtedly lose and there is no possibility of victory. What will happen if Gaia consciousness dies? Our world may be directly exposed to the mysterious area and face real terror. Everyone was silent. One of the middle-aged men, who was dressed in formal clothes and had a rather dignified face, could not help but sneer. So what is happening now is just some minor problems, the eve of doomsday? The current tragedy is just a precursor, Li Xianfeng said. Yes, this view is correct to a certain extent. Mirage is the revelation brought to us by Gaia, so that we can be mentally prepared for battle. The large displacement of the plates is a sign that Gaia can no longer support it. If the world wants to survive, it must concentrate its strength to melt the continent into one piece. Compared with a possible extinction-level crisis in the future, what is happening now is indeed just some trivial matters. After all, the industrial power of several major countries has not been destroyed, and the war potential of mankind is still very strong. The room fell into deep silence. If Li Xianfeng made such remarks a year ago, people would only think that this guy was crazy and had to go to a mental hospital for treatment. But now, everything is different. This is actually just the eve of the disaster. A series of logical chains are complete. Even those who have doubts in their hearts must take this series of statements seriously and make corresponding countermeasures. How to delay Gaia's decline? How to enhance its power? The old man in the center of the screen asked again. Li Xianfeng said, I don't know. It may be to enhance the diversity of the population, or it may be to enhance the ability of individuals and enhance the overall combat power of our world. This enhancement must be strong at the biological level. Making nuclear weapons should not be able to strengthen Gaia consciousness. Isn't enhancing the ability of individuals the birth of more superpowers? Isn't it said that there is only a 1 in 10 probability, and there will be no next time if it fails? How to enhance it? Li Xianfeng replied, it's just that we haven't found a way to cultivate superpowers. There is an alien civilization on the island where Zhang Ming is. It may be particularly important. The Earth's Gaia consciousness attaches the highest degree of importance to it. Our electromagnetic waves can be sent over and communicate information with each other. It is highly likely that Gaia consciousness helps. I think there may be some answers in the ruins of the alien civilization. But now we can only rely on Zhang Ming to slowly dig. We are really helpless and can't help. This matter is really annoying. I know there is a treasure mountain there, but I can't get it. Another general asked, if our soldiers have the mental strength of Zhang Ming, can they explore the mysterious area? Li Xianfeng said, it should be possible. Zhang Ming is unlikely to jump into the ocean and commit suicide because of a siren song. Of course, he may die if he encounters a super life as big as a mountain. To fight against this kind of super life, you have to rely on excellent supernatural reconnaissance capabilities and weapons of mass destruction. But no matter how strong you are, it is always effective. Zhang Ming, the world's strongest superpower, is already a template-like existence in the military and scientific research groups. This kind of strength is far beyond a human group, which may indicate the true limit of human beings. Just a physical fitness that is 10 times that of ordinary people is already jaw-dropping, and there is also a skill of bursting power, which can burst out huge power in an instant. Even recently, he has learned to shoot lightning. In addition to Lao Zhang, the most powerful power-based ability users on the earth, through extremely hard training, only have about 6 foot 8 times the strength of ordinary people, and have since fallen into a bottleneck and have no progress. Moreover, he is only strong, but not particularly outstanding in spirit and perception. When he encounters a mental attack, he is easily confused and jumps into the sea to commit suicide. But Zhang Ming is not on Earth. The scientists are anxious and want to catch this person and draw blood every day. Has he mastered some kind of cultivation method? Probably not. He should be relying on his talent. Comrades, let's not talk about other things for now. The most important thing at the moment is indeed the cultivation method. No matter what, we have to find a way, the white-haired old man on the left side of the screen said. Li Xianfeng, is the probability of awakening innate superpowers really only 10%? Li Xianfeng replied, according to current statistics, it is indeed the case. The accurate data is 10.112%. It is only effective for the first time entering the mysterious area or the first time eating monster meat. If it is not awakened the first time, no matter what method is used, superpowers cannot be awakened. Here lies the problem. The old man tapped the table lightly with his fingers and said, there are relatively few people with superpowers now, only about 100,000. We can still control the situation and there is not so much chaos. What about the future? With the revival of spiritual energy, let's say the concentration of spiritual energy is getting higher and higher, there will be more and more people with superpowers. By then, 1/10 of the society will be people with superpowers, and 100 million people with superpowers will be born. Even if these people with superpowers can't be as strong as Zhang Ming, what do you think will happen? The old man shook his head and said in a serious voice, human beings are creatures that naturally like to divide themselves into different classes. We have tried very hard to create a society where everyone is equal, but in fact, is it really equal? People's abilities do vary, but at least when they are born, they still have an upward path in the future. Even if the path is narrow, it is still a way out, and someone will always find a way out. Now suddenly 1 in 10 people become people with innate superpowers, and the remaining 90% will never be able to find a way out. Can you imagine what will happen to the 90% of ordinary people? Chapter 68 Treasure Hunt Time. Li Xianfeng was silent. The viewpoint of equality for all is a politically correct view and the cornerstone of modern civilization. The reason why this thing is only correct is that it is impossible to do this in actual action. From personal ability to civilizational thoughts, there is no real equality, so we can only shout a few slogans. But is this slogan useful? Of course it is useful, at least it can appease most of the population. Are there any kings, princes, generals and ministers? This kind of thinking is revealed. Nowadays, a truly superior class has emerged, the superpower class, which is naturally superior to the political correctness of equality for all, and the hypocritical emperor's new clothes have been ruthlessly torn apart, revealing its ugly true face. What will happen to the world? Civilization will die. It will die directly. There is no need for any external enemies, the inside will explode like a balloon. When thinking of this, Li Xianfeng's pupils dilated and a lot of sweat seeped out of his back. He felt the pressure of the collapse of civilization from the sky, the pressure from the times, and the terrifying trend from within mankind. If we talk about external problems, we can still think of ways to overcome them. How should we solve the internal division and differentiation? He has superpowers, reincarnation, and he is a theoretical immortal. But he comes from the old era, and the education he received since childhood is equality for all. Even if it is just political correctness, he still thinks that mankind needs this slogan, and it is urgent. Even if the old era is not good, there is still a little hope. However, in the future, he will live in the new era with a huge class gap and may even return to the slave society as a person of the old era. How cruel. So, the way of practice is very important. Let everyone get superpowers, and the new class will no longer appear. At least, it will not be so obvious. But can this be done? Li Xianfang was at a loss. As a scientific researcher, countless difficulties were placed before him. The heavy pressure surged into his heart, and the darkness like a tide seemed to completely drown him. It's time to dig for treasure. Where should I go today? I remember the rocky land in the east, but I haven't been there yet. Let's go dig some more. Zhang Ming woke up from his sleep and began a day of struggle for, human things. First, he ate a few freshly touched toad eggs and added 2 points of attributes. Then he sighed with disdain. This thing tastes pretty good. Then he began to strive to find the heritage of ancient civilization. Due to the 2 super lives left after the death of the Zuanwu in the center of the island, there are no monsters that are too powerful on the deserted island. As long as you don't go to the center of the island, almost no creature can hurt him. So Zhang Ming's footsteps covered most of the island, digging everywhere, and he really found several ancient buildings. In front of him is a temple destroyed by time. It is probably a temple. Now there are only 2 thick stone pillars standing. Year after year, the sea breeze has almost worn away everything here. Shimama, any building with even a little trace left is important, right? What is this place? Tell me about it. They are all important, right? Shimama repeated as always. I want to learn the knowledge of the Yanjiao people, so repeat something useful. Understand? Lao Zhang grabbed Shimama and shook her a few times. Shimama replied with a trembling body, as long as you help me, I will tell you the interesting story of my first love in high school. It meant agree, but it also put forward conditions. Zhang Ming's face was distorted. This guy blew his nose and glared, and talked about conditions. First love, will it ever end? Because as long as Shimama listened, he could repeat it in the same, vivid and colorful spiritual language. Time may be forever. Forever. Imagine that 100 million years later, Shimama repeated the embarrassing story of Lao Zhang and his first love to another intelligent creature, and even his expression could be repeated. How embarrassing would that scene be? When he thought of this, Zhang Ming wanted to dig out a 3-bedroom apartment with his big toe. But no matter what, he couldn't miss this opportunity, so he gritted his teeth and said, okay, give me the information first, I'll consider it, and if it's useful, I'll meet your requirements. It must be useful. The repeater happily repeated a spiritual language. Alessi, Kamiya. A blurred picture like a movie appeared in Zhang Ming's mind. The original scene of broken walls and ruins, in the illusion, seemed to have returned to its original appearance as if time had gone back. This was originally a training ground, where a large number of Yanjiao people were training hard, running around in circles. The instructor standing at the front, holding a whip, bared his teeth, and cursed viciously, Yagula, Asibila and the others, you idiots, if you want to learn the breathing technique, run. Run to death, idiots, if you want to be an inferior for the rest of your life, just stop. Your mother has finally bought this opportunity with money, crawl on the ground if you can't run anymore. There were indeed a few Yanjiao people on the playground who were twisting and turning exhausted. It can be seen that they have been exercising for a long time, just like running a marathon, and their sweat is as much as if they were fished out of a lake. Some of them couldn't even stand up, and could only crawl on the ground like worms. Finally, one of them reached his physiological limit and almost fainted. The instructor holding the whip quickly stepped forward, took out a bottle of potion and poured it into his mouth. Did you see the spirit, idiot? Did you see it? The one lying on the ground rolled his eyes and almost foamed at the mouth, but he was ecstatic and shouted with a red face, I saw it. Ha, I finally saw it, stupid, did you really think you saw it? Now I will teach you the flame horn breathing technique. You must take advantage of this time to learn the flame horn breathing technique. The instructor picked up the silver needles he carried with him and pierced the student's body one by one like acupuncture. After a while, the other person was pierced like a hedgehog. But this is not harm, but through these sharp needles, to guide the flow of spirits. The instructor yelled, stupid, do you feel it? This is the flame horn breathing technique. It is a precious treasure brought to our clan by the great sage who observed the Zuanwu for a long time. It is also the foundation of our clan's strength and the basis for our survival. Learn it, you must learn it. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 69, A Drifting Bottle. Shimama's repetition gradually stopped, and the scene ended here, leaving Zhang Ming standing there in shock. So that's how it is. The probability of Yanjiao people awakening superpowers is not high. There are still a large number of ordinary people, which is similar to the situation on Earth, but they can use this method to let ordinary individuals learn superpowers. This seems to be. Zhang Ming found a big rock to sit down and carefully analyze what he had just seen. After adding points to spirit to 200, his memory ability was extremely good, and he recalled it many times in a row. The heritage of an ancient civilization is indeed extraordinary. How to let ordinary people gain abilities may not be of much use to him. It is too easy for him to gain new abilities. He is too lazy to learn about spending attribute points. But for the entire human civilization, the influence is really too great, and it can even be said that it is not an exaggeration to say that it is the creation of the world. Li Xianfang frantically hinted on the radio that he should think of a way. If he doesn't think of a way, mankind will usher in a dark turmoil. Anyway, he is idle anyway, so he can only continue to do archaeology. By the way, he also wants to see if the Yanjiao people have similar bottleneck problems. The first step is to exercise for a long time and improve your physical fitness as much as possible. I see that the Yanjiao people in the training ground are all quite strong. This is the result of long-term training. The second step is to take a special potion after reaching the limit of a certain exercise and completely overdrawing your physical strength, so that people can see the spirit for a short time. This step is very important. Everything has a spirit, but the spirit of many people is too weak to sense itself. Therefore, it is necessary to supplement with external power. When the physical strength is exhausted and close to fainting, the probability of external spirits being sensed will be greatly increased. The third step is to sense the spirit, and then use a series of acupuncture methods to guide the operation of this part of the spirit, so that ordinary people can also learn breathing techniques. As long as you learn the breathing technique, the spirit will spontaneously increase, strengthen the spirit, and form a positive cycle. After summarizing here, Zhang Ming took a deep breath and his eyes lit up. This method is actually quite simple. Can't the Earthlings think of it? Yes, the Earthlings can't think of it. Even if a genius thinks of the first two steps, it is useless. Because the Earthlings don't have breathing techniques. It is even more impossible to fabricate one out of thin air. Just like scientists cannot fabricate a living creature out of thin air, they cannot even fabricate a real cell. The Zhuanwu breathing technique originated from the Zhuanwu. It is a very advanced practice method that not every race has. The Yanjiao people deleted about 90% of the content and transformed the remaining 10% into versions suitable for themselves, proudly calling it the foundation of their foothold. If I want to do something for humans, I must combine the human body structure and create a breathing technique suitable for humans. Thinking of this, Zhang Ming started to practice the Zhuanwu breathing technique. Some of the steps are extremely mysterious, but in fact the effect is not very good. The physical structure of humans and turtles is really too big. After tinkering with it for a long time, he came up with a rough idea. The turtle back is essentially the spine of the turtle. I just need to think of a way to replace the spine of the turtle with a human spine. Maybe it will be barely feasible. Anyway, as long as humans can use it, it will be the first step in the creation of the world. As for how to improve it later, there will always be more geniuses to perfect it. It has nothing to do with me, old Zhang. It's impossible to let the founder do everything. Thinking of this, Zhang Ming's mood improved. He is a mentally ill person who is imprisoned on a deserted island and talked to stones every day, but he actually cared about the affairs of the entire human race. Go home and cook first, I'm hungry. Shimama rolled around on the side in a lewd manner, repeating unsatisfactorily, as long as you help me, I will tell you an interesting story about my first love girlfriend in high school. The old voice became louder and louder. It was a debt collection. Zhang Ming frowned, and for the sake of subsequent friendly cooperation, he reluctantly told another dog food story that had nothing to do with the dean of teaching. After hearing the story, Shimama excitedly repeated it. On that afternoon when the sun was setting, I said to her, "Can I bury my head in your yellow sweater? I like your yellow sweater very much." She shyly said no. Zhang Ming's face turned black, and his body shook like a sieve. "Can you please stop repeating? This is the story of my life." Shimama became more and more excited, and her high-pitched voice was like the call of a donkey in heat. On that afternoon when the sun was setting, I said to her, "Can I bury my head in your yellow sweater? I like your yellow sweater very much. She shyly said no. Get out of here. Zhang Ming picked up the black stone and threw it into the ocean with all his strength. The violent friction between the stone and the air caused a roar like an airplane, and countless water skips were created, and finally it sank into the sea with a plop. But within a few seconds, the obscene black stone rolled back, and the yellow sand on the beach was blown up. From a distance, it could be heard repeating excitedly, "On that afternoon when the sun was setting, I said to her." Zhang Ming was numb. This thing couldn't be broken or cooked, and it couldn't even be thrown away. When it got excited, it was like an old woman chanting. It must keep mumbling in your ear until you go crazy. The key is that it is still someone else's privacy. I really want to beat you to death. Zhang Ming decided to make up a story next time to fool around. Suddenly, his heart jumped. Zhang Ming turned his head abruptly and saw a shiny thing flashing a strange light on the sea, as if there was a voice calling him in his heart, "Please receive your letter." He walked over with some caution and took a closer look. It turned out to be a drifting bottle, emitting a faint light. 200 points of perception can already produce a relatively strong sixth sense. Zhang Ming suddenly felt that this thing seemed to be looking for him. "Please receive your letter. Please receive your letter. Are you looking for my drifting bottle? What's going on?" He fished the drifting bottle out of the sea, carefully opened the bottle cap, and found a piece of letter paper and a large bag of pills inside. There were also a few posters of pretty girls, and a sense of sex was coming. There were also some Japanese words written on it, which roughly meant, because it was too, my body didn't dare to reject JPG. Zhang Ming's eyes widened, he was completely confused, and his head was full of question marks. What the hell is this? Chapter 70: The Delivery of the Drift Bottle. Why is there a poster of the teacher here? Zhang Ming was really stunned this time. Looking at the exquisite face on the poster, he was so shocked that his heart almost jumped out of his throat. Trapped on a deserted island for half a year, living a primitive life without electricity, mobile phones, and TV every day, when he was about to forget what a woman looked like, he actually picked up a poster of the teacher? Zhang Ming was so shocked that he even suspected that he had fallen into the Truman world. Wait, there is another piece of paper in the drifting bottle. With stiff fingers, he took out the letter in the drifting bottle and read it carefully. "Hey, brother, my name is Wang Fumin, an ordinary driver in Yunhei City. The drifting bottle you picked up is a supernatural wonder. Its owner is me, and the recipient is you. Yes, it's you, don't doubt it. As long as you throw the bottle back into the sea, it will be sent to me again, no matter how far the distance is, no matter where it is, it will be delivered. It's incredible, right? It may take a little time, but it will definitely be delivered. After you send it back, I will send you another letter. If you have any needs, just tell me directly. You're welcome. The guy next to you is my good friend Lu Tuiyu, your super fan. He fights for you on the internet every day, and fights against yin and yang literature. My second brother is invincible in the world. He said he would send you some photos of the teacher to relieve your worries and boredom. Are you satisfied with a small gift? You're welcome. Just ask for anything you want. How have you been living recently? How do you feel? Have you encountered any difficulties? Live bravely and strong, not only for yourself and your loved ones, but also for all of us. In the supernatural era, everyone's life is not very good. The unemployment rate is very high, and many families have lost their loved ones. But the times are like this. Even if there are complaints, there is no way to vent them. You can't blame others, you can only blame the damn God. Everyone's biggest expectation is to see how your life is. If it gets better day by day and you can survive in difficulties, it can also give us some inexplicable confidence. It seems impolite to ask too much of you. After all, life on a deserted island may be very difficult. If you need any help, just let me know. We will do what we can. Oh, by the way, if you want to be happy, don't shoot at the beach. The mirage in the sky will reflect the scene on the beach. People all over the country are paying attention to your movements every day. Some crazy people wish you dead, of course. More people want you to live well. If you are really bored or lonely, you can also take a stroll on the beach. People all over the country are watching you, and maybe your parents are watching too. There are some antibiotics in the bottle. Tell me if you need anything next time. I wish you good health and all the best. Wang Fumin. The date of the signature was 7 months ago. In other words, it took this drifting bottle more than half a year to slowly find itself. Zhang Ming read it several times in a row. His head was hot, and his heartbeat was constantly accelerating. He suddenly found that he could not see the words on the letter clearly. and he took a few deep breaths and wiped his blurry eyes. Then, Zhang Ming sat on the beach, watching the sun gradually set. Watching the turtles swim around, watching the waves surge up and slowly submerge his ankles. He once thought that he had adapted to the current life, occasionally complaining, occasionally talking to himself, and occasionally arguing with Mama like elementary school students. But in fact, there is no way to get used to it. He always misses his rental house. Although it is only a small place of more than 10 square meters, it can accommodate his little happiness of lying down peacefully for a weekend. He misses those gay friends on the internet. Even if he always feels that he is not perverted enough and out of place, he can still laugh together when he's bored. I miss my past life, my first girlfriend who I broke up with, the regrets of the past, and the people I missed. I miss the laughter and the happy times, the pretending to be strong in the darkest moments, the lies and escapes. In the end, who became me? Who did I become? Now I have nothing, I can only be myself. Only a piece of black stone is left, rolling around in front of my eyes in a lewd manner, and sticking to the poster in violation of the law of gravity, yelling, "First girlfriend! First girlfriend! First girlfriend!" Don't call every woman you see your first girlfriend. If you want to know who she is, exchange her for 100 secrets. Zhang Ming threw it out viciously. Mama was twitching there like a ghost, as if he was struggling with whether the big deal of 100 secrets was too expensive. Then he heard Lao Zhang reciting poetry as a great writer. Time is like flowing water, day and night. 1,000 years later, I have become history. 10,000 years later, who'll remember me? Mama, who wanted to repeat, was stunned. He liked to listen to Lao Zhang sighing about life and secretly recording famous quotes. 10,000 years later, who'll remember? But Zhang Ming pointed at it and said loudly, "Only this damn repeater has survived in history for a long time and recorded my existence." What a tragic thing. Mama was even more stunned. Whose life is he sighing about? But Zhang Ming was in a good mood. So many compatriots he didn't know were caring about him and sent him a letter. In particular, the appearance of this strange drifting bottle meant that he had another way to communicate with human civilization. Even if it took more than half a year to be sent, and it took more than a year to go back and forth, it was also a way of communication. "I will definitely send some gifts back to all mankind," Zhang Ming roared at the boundless ocean. When the repeater heard the voice, it quickly repeated itself, fearing that it would miss every opportunity to fart. "I will definitely send some gifts back to all mankind." As the sky gradually darkened, Zhang Ming picked up Shinma and returned to the camp to rest. The firewood rose up, slightly dispelling the surrounding darkness. He wanted to write a reply. The gray and white memory photos quickly turned over in his mind, as if there were countless words he wanted to say to his compatriots, but he didn't know where to start. He was too lazy to cook dinner, so he just ate some meat. Zhang Ming read the letter dozens of times in a row. The thin paper seemed to have magic, and he almost memorized it. He looked at the teacher's poster again, and inexplicably felt a little eager. He hadn't seen humans for a long, long time, and suddenly a few women appeared. Even if they were just photos. On that afternoon when the sun was setting, I said to her, "Can I bury my head in your yellow sweater? I like your yellow sweater very much." She said shyly, "No." Mama's lewd nature broke out again, and her old voice trembled a little. The nature of the repeater is evil and depraved. It must have its own thinking. After learning the human language, it has become more and more despicable. Zhang Ming took the teacher's photo and glanced at the mental value. Mental value. 42, 200. You are tempted by something, and you can't wait to enter a certain evil and depraved world. If you repeat it again, I will never tell that story again. Mama immediately shut up. Mama began to read the electromagnetic waves in the air. "Hello, listeners, I am Li Xianfan. Today I will bring you the first-hand news." Evil Fall. Zhang Ming quickly zipped up the tent and let Mama play the recording outside. The first phase of the defense deployment of the Great Xia Kingdom has begun with a 20 million militia team. The four oceans are squeezed by the mysterious area, and the proportion of superpowers on Earth continues to rise. "Don't disturb me, I want to be alone today." "Go to the turtle," Zhang Ming yelled in the tent. Mama rolled away. That night, Zhang Ming wrote a reply letter with a surging heart. He wanted to write this letter with great literary talent and write it as a perfect composition. This wonderful feeling is like returning to the youth time when he climbed over the wall to play games in the internet cafe. The moment he turned on the computer, he was anxious, expectant, excited, nervous, and even a little worried. Simply put, Because he hadn't been social for a long time, he had gone crazy. He wrote several versions in a row before he wrote something that was barely satisfactory. Hello, Mr. Wang Fumin. My name is Zhang Ming, and I'm trapped on an island. I'm the real deal. Is there a mirage in the sky broadcasting me live? No wonder I feel an inexplicable sense of intimacy deep in my heart when I get close to the beach. Combined with previous information, I have some guesses in my mind, but fortunately I haven't done anything embarrassing. It should be the so-called Earth Gaia consciousness that is paying attention to me. It seems that it attaches great importance to me. Maybe my utilization value is relatively high. Haha, it's a good thing. It's okay to be noticed by the world. It also gives me a little psychological comfort. At least I know that someone is thinking about me. The world is changing so fast. Both you and I have begun to accept this sudden supernatural era. A year ago, we might not have been able to imagine the drastic changes in the world. A year later, both you and I are trying to adapt to this era and struggling to survive in a bigger world. It has been 7 months since the drifting bottle was thrown, which means it takes 14 months for a round trip. I really hope it can be transmitted faster, so that the letter can be sent faster. A lot has happened in the past 6 months, and I have become much stronger. Yunhei City is also the city where I used to live. It has changed a lot now. I wonder if the earthquakes are still so severe recently? Has the population started to relocate? Zhang Ming paused and continued in the letter. My life here is so-so. It's a bit monotonous, but also extremely simple, not much different from that of primitive people. But there is a group of turtles accompanying me on the island, and there are relics of alien civilizations waiting to be excavated, which adds a lot of fun to the dull life. I hope that next time you can send some crop seeds in a drifting bottle. I want to grow some plants here and eat some hometown vegetables. As for the risks on the isolated island, as long as you don't get close to the center, there shouldn't be any big problems. I'm not that fragile now. I've been doing something very interesting recently, excavating the heritage of ancient civilizations and obtaining their supernatural knowledge. The probability of success is not small. If the mirage still exists at that time, you should be able to see with your own eyes what I'm doing. If the mirage is gone, I will also send this important information back in the letter. It would be even better if you could comfort my relatives. My parents' address and name are, if possible, please help me convey that I am doing well now, and one day, I will be able to come back. Thanks to so many people who care about me, I will definitely live well. Zhang Ming, leave a message 20-year month day. Thousands of words were stuck in his heart, as if he couldn't express anything. Zhang Ming always felt that this version of the letter was just unsatisfactory, and he was eager to write a new version again. For example, the method of breathing technique that everyone can practice. He wanted to send it back now, so that Li Xianfeng wouldn't keep hinting there. But his current supernatural knowledge is still too poor. Whether it is the ultimate version of Zhuangwu breathing technique or the simple version of Yanjiao breathing technique, it is impossible to describe the changes in human language. All the answers are too abstract, and the amount of information is too large. Human language cannot even describe the complete content. And Zhang Ming doesn't know the spiritual language that can cause human hallucinations. It's impossible to tie a Yanjiao man's stone slab to the back of that small drifting bottle, so take it back with you. It will sound an alarm if it's overloaded. In the end, he suppressed his complicated feelings. That's it, it's almost done. After stuffing a piece of letter paper, there was still a little space in the bottle. Zhang Ming thought about it and added a few words on the letter paper. I'll give you some dried crab meat, which can be used to activate superpowers after eating. I heard on the radio that there's only a 1/10 probability, which is not a big chance. If you don't eat it, you can also sell it for money. The meat of the golden electric eel was not given because he was reluctant, but because the spirit contained in it was too high, and ordinary people would have big problems if they ate it. Crab meat is just right. In fact, Zhang Ming wanted to give some more crab meat to his relatives. But the drifting bottle can only be stuffed so much, and asking others to do a little favor, you have to give some benefits first. As long as the drifting bottle can be passed on, it will eventually be the turn of relatives. In addition, as long as he can create a real human breathing technique, there is no need to activate superpowers. Most people's abilities are actually very poor. Just like that, he closed the bottle cap tightly and threw it gently, and the drifting bottle drew a beautiful arc in the air. With a wave of spray, the yellow-brown bottle disappeared from Zhang Ming's sight. P.S. Because it will be available at 12 noon tomorrow, today's content will be updated earlier. 2-in-1. Chapter 71, Remarks on the release. It will be available at 12 noon tomorrow. I have so many things to say, but I don't know where to start. Speaking of which, I started writing in 2017. In the blink of an eye, it has been 6 years, with both success and failure. Time flies. What was the world like 6 years ago? Are we living happier 6 years later? Have we achieved some of the small goals we planned before? In fact, being born in this era, my memory is a bit fuzzy. I always feel that there is not much difference between 2017 and 2023. Every day of adults is almost the same, and every day of children is very fulfilling. But in fact, the times have changed a lot. I just have a sense of illusion that I am in this mountain. Times must change. So based on this inspiration, I created this novel. I want the protagonist, as an outsider, to observe an era that is more magnificent than the real world. This story is very difficult to write. Human civilization and the protagonist's story are parallel, and if you are not careful, you will lose sight of one and feel top-heavy. The deduction of civilization development is not easy either. Moreover, the heavy grand narrative does not conform to the current market trend. I must make the story of the protagonist cheerful, that is, with a little sand sculpture flavor. The story on the Earth side is covered up with the spring and autumn style to avoid 404, and let everyone know the changes of the times. Therefore, the mirage, that is, the element of live broadcast, is introduced at the beginning, so that the rhythm can be cheerful. Then it triggered a misplaced sense of expectation. Many readers may have watched too much Feel FN, and they want to be happy immediately when they see the live broadcast element. If they can't be happy in the first few chapters, they will directly scold. You wrote a hook, a big water monster, therefore, the first chapters of this book have a lot of negative reviews, and a lot of people say that I am watery or something. I also know why they scold me, but there is no way. After all, we are going to write a long novel, not the kind that can't be written after hundreds of thousands of words. We must build a good framework. After 20 or 30 chapters, after the worldview is unfolded, there are fewer negative reviews, and more people follow up. This framework conception is very stable at first glance, and it can be written very long. The current results have exceeded my initial expectations. If nothing unexpected happens, this should be my best book. 11,000 follow-up readers is really good. If something unexpected happens, I hope the results can be better. For example, I can get an achievement like first order exceeds 10,000 inches at the beginning. The author has been tepid for many years. It's not that bad to say, 4 great books, at least I have accumulated some readers. It's not a big deal, but I don't even have a medal of 10,000 orders. In the era of anti-theft, I am worse than a dog. So, I might as well take a bigger step. It's not too much to get first order exceeding 10,000. This medal is quite rare, and I really want it. 11,000 follow-up readers and 10,000 first orders are not too difficult, and it is still very possible. If the first order really exceeds 10,000, I promise to add 60,000 words within 30 days. My productivity is really low, so I can only promise this. I dare not make more promises, and the quality may decline. On the basis of 6K daily updates, I will add 60,000 words within 30 days. As long as the first order exceeds 10,000, I owe you 20 chapters, and I will pay it back as soon as possible. Old readers all know that I have always been very slow at grinding, lazy and stupid. I just lie on the ground after completing the task and don't want to continue working. Even if a big guy forced a carrot into my mouth, I would just lie on the ground and toss it for a few times and then not move. Now for this achievement, I really work hard. If I hurt my waist because of taking 2 big steps, there is nothing I can do. I will grind a mill slowly and ensure quality first. Finally, I would like to thank my editor, Mr. Lan Guang. The recommendations for this book are full during the new book period. Everything is included. It depends on how the final results will be. Finally, I would like to thank the readers who have followed me here. There are many new readers, and many old readers who have always supported me. I have known my ID for so many years. There are also unknown lurkers who have accompanied me through the long trough. I hope everyone has a bright future, and I hope this book can have a good result. Tomorrow at noon, it is tomorrow. Finally, I recommend a friend's Black Technology academic article Inter Unscience, which has almost 10,000 subscriptions. If you are interested, you can go and have a look. Chapter 72, Progress is advancing by leaps and bounds. In the following days, with a small goal of creating human breathing technique in mind, it seems that there is a little fun in life. With the help of the turtle clan, Zhang Ming dived into the seabed again and again, looking for the relics of ancient civilizations. He used to be a landlubber who couldn't even do a dog crawl, but with 200 points of physique and 200 points of perception, he can easily control most of the muscles in his body. It took only 2 days to learn to swim and dive. The boundless mysterious area, if using the terminology of the Yanjiao people, is called the Demon Sea, which hides countless mysteries. And the sunken continent is called the Basalt Continent. This sea area still belongs to the category of Basalt Continent and is not the real Demon Sea, so the risk is not too great. It has been too long since the decline of the Yanjiao people, and most of the ancient ruins hidden in the seabed have become a paradise for marine life. The collapsed houses are covered with colorful coral polyps, starfish, lobsters, and shells. The strange sea creatures saw Zhang Ming swimming over and stirred up the water in a hurry. So many seafood, many fish live in groups. Either they don't appear, or tens or millions of them appear at once. The overwhelming scene is like a huge tornado. Occasionally, there are huge mutant fish swimming from a long distance. With their mouth full of sharp teeth, Zhang Ming seriously suspects that they can bite the excavator in half with just one bite. Of course, due to the relatively low reproductive capacity of mutant creatures, most marine life is still dominated by ordinary creatures with higher reproductive capacity. Nature always maintains a clever ecological balance to prevent ordinary creatures from becoming completely extinct. Zhang Ming's eyes lit up. The attribute points in the ocean are really inexhaustible. Eat them all. 7 or 8,000, or even 10,000 is not a problem. It's just a pity that if I don't break through the bottleneck, I can only add them all to my lifespan. He glanced at the attribute panel. Lifespan 25/768. Your lifespan is comparable to Peng Zhu. You are really a young old man. Take good care of yourself and stay here until the end of time. Well, when your lifespan can be increased by a few years every day, you will be happy at first, singing and dancing, and wishing that the number will expand faster. Who doesn't want to get the fruit of immortality? Just as a famous saying of an unknown online writer, give me enough time, and I can type a book comparable to the Master of Turtle Secrets by typing on the keyboard with my toes. This also shows the importance of time. But soon, Zhang Ming realized it, and couldn't help cursing in his heart. Even if I am given enough time, I still can't learn that damn math. Gululugarulu. The little white turtle swam to his side, spitting out a few bubbles with its teeth and claws, as if it had made some major discoveries. Zhang Ming made an okay gesture, took out the mineral water bottle from his backpack, and took a deep breath of air. Swim over and take a look. An ancient stone tablet lay quietly on the seabed, with dense water plants entwined on it. The engravings on it were vaguely visible, with both text and images. Another Yanjiao people's stone tablet. Fortunately, this civilization likes to record its history on stone tablets, otherwise there would be nothing left. Zhang Ming muttered in his heart, waved his hand to pull out the water plants, and stroked the complex lines on it. Only the most precious and hard things can survive the erosion of time. He tied the stone tablet with the rope he carried with him, and tied the other end to the oversized sea turtle next to it, directing it to swim upwards. The name of this oversized turtle is Scar, because when removing barnacles, it was accidentally left with some scars, so Zhang Ming called it Scar Turtle. The Scar Turtle shook its 2-story high body and pulled the stone tablet to the beach. After many years, this relic of ancient civilization has once again seen the light of day. The strange patterns were corroded and blurred. After a little effort, they could be roughly described as some acupuncture points of the Yanjiao people. The various written symbols could not be interpreted. The spirit of the text has almost disappeared. Zhang Ming closed his eyes and felt it carefully. The black stone just happened to roll over, and rolled around at Zhang Ming's feet to show off. You know it, Shimama repeated. Zhang Ming could understand that this guy was bargaining, so he cleared his throat and began to make up a story. Let's start a new bit. The story of the beautiful math teacher. When I was in high school, I was the math class representative, and the math teacher was a graduate student who had just graduated. It's very interesting, right? Do you want to know? The math teacher is a graduate student who has just graduated. Shimama repeated it frantically, repeating it hundreds of times in a row, and even the surrounding air became hot, revealing its obscene nature. It didn't keep anyone in suspense, and immediately began to repeat the story that had happened to this stone. Zhang Ming carefully felt this strange spiritual language. In my mind, there is a gray-haired old man, giving a lecture to his disciples. Inhale through the nose and exhale through the corners, exhale through the nose and inhale through the corners. This is called abdominal reverse breathing, and you must breathe with a sound. Because reverse breathing plays the role of expelling the old and taking in the new, once the lungs are full and expanded, they cannot contain the chest, lower the qi, and sink the qi into the danshan. The excessive expansion of lung cells can easily cause lung bleeding, which will harm the body. Put it on the Yonquan point on the sole of the foot, over and over again. The cycle is endless. The front is in charge and the back is in charge, and the spirit is rolling. An hour later, Shimama stopped repeating. Zhang Ming slowly exhaled, thinking to himself, it turns out that this stone tablet tells the story of the great sage of the Yanjiao civilization, improving the Zhuangwu breathing technique. What a good thing. Some of the principles should also be effective for humans. The entire Yanjiao race spent a lot of manpower and energy. Even though they were talented, it took nearly 100 years to learn the Zhuangwu breathing technique from Zhuangwu. Finally, it took another 52 years to improve the Zhuangwu breathing technique into the Yanjiao breathing technique. During the whole process, a lot of theoretical knowledge was naturally invented. Even though Yanjiao civilization is not a real technological civilization, the lessons learned have been tried by millions and tens of millions of people, and should not be underestimated. Just like the difference between modern medicine and traditional Chinese medicine, there are Chinese medicine haters and Chinese medicine fans everywhere on the internet, arguing non-stop. But Zhang Ming doesn't care at all. He is just a pragmatist. As long as he knows that 10 drops of water and Huaxiang's water can be used, that's it. It's the best if it can be used. As for what these black fans are arguing about, he doesn't care. For me, the difficulty of improving Zhuangwu breathing technique into human breathing technique is much simpler, because I have already consumed attribute points and learned the biggest threshold of Zhuangwu breathing technique, 96 attribute points. Zhang Ming felt a pain in his heart, and could only comfort himself that he spent this little money for the whole human race. This step from 0 to 1 is really too difficult. No matter how brilliant a person is, he can't fabricate a breathing technique out of thin air. But from 1 to 10, it is much easier. Most of the knowledge of the Yanjiao people has laid a theoretical framework for me. As long as I learn the principles, I can find ways to change it. With a beautiful dream of becoming the founder, Zhang Ming is full of energy and his subjective initiative is fully exerted. Every day, he is frantically digging up ancient relics, referring to various versions of the Yanjiao people, and learning about acupoints, qi, spirit and other knowledge. With Shimama, a historical repeater, a lot of obliterated history can be forcibly excavated. The Yanjiao people's writing system has also been cracked one by one. Progress is advancing by leaps and bounds. However, for all mankind, the mirages in the sky from time to time are simply a headache for countless smart heads. Any ambitious country is summoning linguists, information scientists, decryption experts and other experts from all walks of life to try to crack the information provided by the mirage. The unknown information from the alien civilization must contain rich supernatural treasures. Today, the survivors of Area 16 dug up another ancient stone slab from the seabed. The mirage seemed to have self-awareness, and took a very clear picture of the stone slab. If there really is a Gaia consciousness in the world, then its intentions are obvious. These stone slabs are really very useful to humans. Crack it. It's just a pity that human power is too limited. With a lack of supernatural knowledge, the progress of deciphering is extremely slow. 1% is a compliment, and it's not an exaggeration to say that it is a waste of scientific research funds. Therefore, major research institutes around the world have complained at the same time. What the hell are these damn scribbles? They're as bad as the apple pie made by Aunt Karen next door. Hey, men, where's your hair? Fuck, that idiot leader told me to decipher it within this month. He didn't even think about how many years it took to decipher the Mesopotamian cuneiform. 300 years, and it's still not completely deciphered. This is the writing of a foreign civilization, the kind that has no reference materials at all. That idiot is dreaming. He really should go see that hateful groundhog. The same is true here in Daksha. Li Xianfeng feels that his high blood pressure and heart disease are flaring up every day. His superiors call one after another, and he has to explain to each one. How can I say that deciphering this matter cannot be reversed by the will of the leader? The more anxious the leader is, the more irritated the people below will be. Even several highly respected language experts could not withstand the huge pressure and resigned directly. Old Li, It's not that we don't work hard, but these things can't be deciphered at all, because it may be introducing something that doesn't exist here at all. The gray-haired expert smiled bitterly and said, for example, I made up a term, a bababa. It is a concept we have never come into contact with. It only exists in other civilizations. How can we know what it is? There may be many such concepts that we have never come into contact with. How can we decipher them? Rely on imagination to make random guesses. Li Xiangfeng sighed and said, dear professors, even if you only know half of it, it is good. Even if it is just a few words, it is better than nothing. I will bear the pressure from above. You guys try your best. We really need a method of practice. We really need it. Our time is running out. Chapter 73 The Return of the Drift Bottle. The changes in the world situation are always faster than expected. The expert group's deciphering was not smooth, and the changes in the people were also great. In a blink of an eye, it has been a year since Wang Fumin and Lu Tuiyu entered the army. From the initial discomfort to gradually getting used to new life, it only took a short 10 months. We have to admit that humans are creatures with strong receptive ability. A year ago, they were still thinking about paying mortgages, medical care, and education. Now most people have become brick movers. Even if they have complaints, they have to bear it and curse God. I thought I was here to shoot, but I didn't expect that I still couldn't escape the fate of moving bricks. Speaking of this, Lu Tuiyu couldn't help but complain. For such a long time, he has only touched a gun twice. Because of myopia, he practiced shooting once and missed half of the target. So, there is no chance to practice again. He is a militia here every day, commonly known as a reserve. In order to maintain world peace, the number of active troops has rapidly expanded from 2 million last year to 20 million today, an increase of 10 times. Every country around is recruiting soldiers crazily, and there are constant border frictions. Some medium-sized countries are already producing nuclear weapons. What international rules? Who cares so much in this era? The cloud of World War II looms over the heads of mankind. However, it is easy to increase the number of soldiers rapidly, but it is not so easy to produce weapons and equipment. With the collapse of the market and the paralysis of transportation, the production capacity of military factories is only about half of the peak level. There are not enough equipment. What to do? Of course, let more people move bricks, work, dig trenches, and dig shelters. Anyway, there is too much physical work to do. Militiamen are naturally soldiers, but they are not so diligent in training, and their discipline is relatively loose. They do some hard work, and the allowances are barely enough to support their families. Don't complain. If the company commander hears you complaining, you'll be scolded again. Wang Fumin, who is 10 years older than him, is used to the oppression of society after all. He shrank his neck and whispered, go work overtime by yourself when the time comes. Don't blame me. I can't afford to work overtime with my old arms and legs. Damn it, ordinary people work overtime, and people with superpowers never work overtime. Ordinary people like us won't have to live in the future. Seeing that there was no one around, Lu Tuiyu complained indignantly, I tell you, those without superpowers will all be lowly people in the future. It's not so bad in China. We can barely suppress this kind of public opinion. The contradictions abroad are getting bigger and bigger, and even some extreme organizations have emerged, claiming that people with superpowers are supreme in a manifestation of human evolution. When the end of the world really comes, only people with superpowers can survive. Wang Fumin's face turned pale. Are you crazy? You actually dare to climb over the wall to view the internet? Lu Tuiyu shook his head and laughed at himself. Does the overall quality of our Daksha people exceed that of other regions? What is the essential difference between people? Will the social thoughts born abroad not appear here? I don't know if you have seen a foreign movie in which mutants and humans hate each other and internal conflicts will break out, even if the superpowers in our world are not very powerful and cannot destroy the world like in the movies. But the identity labels have already appeared. As long as labels appear, people will naturally slowly divide and slander each other, and now, the treatment of superpowers is indeed superior to others. No matter what good positions they are the first to choose. Ordinary people cannot take up high-paying positions in the research institute, and it is useless to be jealous. Even in the military, aren't superpowers easier to be promoted than ordinary people? Wang Fumin was silent for a long time before he uttered, aren't the salaries of superpowers decreasing? The number is increasing, and it is not as scarce as before, so the salary will naturally decrease. No, I would rather hope that they are scarce, as scarce as only dozens or hundreds, than that they are huge in number. Lu Tuiyu clenched his fist and said, there are few of them, so they don't take up many places, and they won't affect my interests. If there are many of them, we ordinary people will be miserable, like your daughter. Do you want her to be an ordinary person or a superpower? After entering the mysterious area, there is a 1 in 10 chance of awakening abilities. If your daughter doesn't get it, she will be an inferior person for life. If your daughter is lucky enough to get it, and she becomes an upper class, will she defend her class? Will she be willing to be treated the same as ordinary people? She won't, and 90% of ordinary people, do they want an upper class to appear above their heads? No, right. So, how to resolve this contradiction? Wang Fumin opened his mouth and couldn't speak. Does he know about this? Of course he knows. But what can he do? There is no way. After all, he is just an ordinary citizen who has been smoothed by society, with no social status and no ability. Even if he knows some things, he will feel uncomfortable for a while, but let him speak out? He won't go. On the contrary, Lu Tuiyu has been fighting foreign public opinion for a long time. Anyway, he doesn't have a wife and children, so he just wants to feel refreshed. But being happy doesn't really mean anything, and it can't change the world. Suddenly, a ray of light flashed in the distance, as if a sixth sense rose from the heart. Your letter. Wang Fumin's heart skipped a beat. The drifting bottle is back. What are you whispering about? Hurry up and dig this ditch. We'll have stewed beef brisket with potatoes tonight. If you want to eat, get to work. The company commander saw them chatting together and ran over with a shovel towards them. The company commander is a very good person and takes good care of the brothers in the company. Apart from being a little strict, there's nothing to complain about. Sometimes he will take the initiative to help carry. What's different is that the company commander is also a superpower. His ability is not strong, but his dynamic vision, shooting and nerve reaction speed are more than one level higher than ordinary people. But because of this, he became the company commander. When this thought came to mind, Wang Fumin suddenly felt a strange discomfort from the bottom of his heart. He knew that this discomfort came from what Lu Tuiyu had just said. He is already 35 years old. And he would swallow his anger even if he encountered a little injustice. Where is the real world of great harmony in the world? But what about the group? If we magnify it to the entire human society, are people with superpowers allowed to be superior to ordinary people? This is a big question. The general trend of the times is as mighty as the Yangtze River, rushing eastward. In the mysterious area, the demise of 13 teams was mostly caused by internal strife. Throughout history, in the process of destruction of dynasties, a large part of the reasons are always internal. This time, the same, no exception. Special Affairs Processing Department, a technology exchange meeting. Li Xianfeng is having a video conversation with Professor Peter Greer, the chairman of the American Society for Supernatural Research and a parapsychologist at Harvard University. Have you deciphered the stone tablet? The grammatical system of alien civilizations is very different from any human language. It is very difficult. Many of the new concepts in it are not available here. Oh, it would be great if Zhang could dig more treasures. So many people are waiting for him to dig treasures. Professor Peter laughed. Several scholars resigned because of the pressure, and came back out of curiosity. They just jump back and forth like grasshoppers. How can there be so many intact things in the water? The things on land are so-so, but unfortunately, he can't go to the rest of the area. There is a great terror on the isolated island. A super terror that can wipe out a civilization. Everyone knows this, so they didn't urge Lao Zhang through satellite broadcasts. As the only remaining seedling of mankind, if they die while dancing on the grave, they might be sent to the electric chair by the angry human leaders. After chatting for a few words, everyone started to discuss business. Peter Greer was the first to throw out a suggestion. As the mysterious zone continues to occupy the 4 oceans, we believe that the concentration of the Earth's spirit is rising sharply. The current proportion of naturally born superpowers has reached 1 in 10,000, which is more than 100 times the initial rate. That is, there are 10,000 superpowers among 100 million people. In the end, the concentration of the Earth's spirit will be exactly the same as that of the mysterious zone, and 1 in 10 people will be born with superpowers. The other 90% of the population, who do not have innate abilities, should be ordinary people all their lives. Superpowers are closely related to the soul and the body. In a short period of time, we can't let ordinary people learn abilities for nothing. That's right, we still have to be down to earth. It's too difficult to pursue the highest difficulty at the beginning. The scientific researchers in the room were all discussing the newly born special ability people. With the improvement of spiritual energy, in addition to the physical ability people, some more rare ability people finally appeared. For example, hypnosis. This ancient industry is usually regarded as a liar, or simply appears in some 18-rated movies. But now, there really is a corresponding superpower, hypnotist. Another example is life sharing. This healing ability person can share his vitality with other injured people, speeding up the treatment of wounds and diseases. Even AIDS and cancer can be cured. The mechanism is unknown. Of course. The consequence of doing so is that it will bring a more serious risk of premature aging to the person concerned. Therefore, this ability person is protected as a national treasure. Another foreign expert said in a communications conference, currently, there is no instrument that can detect the spirit in the air. Whether it is infrared light, ultraviolet light or X-rays, there has been no progress. It seems to exist in another dimension and is a special idealistic phenomenon. Chapter 74. Some people don't care, and some people do. Only a small number of people with perceptive abilities can vaguely feel the spirit in their bodies, while others claim it is the so-called heat flow. They believe that it is the flow of the spirit that brings superpowers. But they cannot clearly sense the principle, nor can they explain it. We found special enzymes and proteins in their bodies. But once these components leave the human body, they will slowly lose their activity. The study of superpowers is like a black box system. People only know that it exists and can work, but the specific principles are a complete mess and it is difficult to sort out. Let's take a simple example. A normal person explains to a congenitally blind person what is blue. No matter how good the teacher is, no matter how exaggerated and vivid the explanation is, the color of the sky, the color of the sea, the color of melancholy. Can a blind person really understand what blue is? No. Since I have never witnessed it, it is hard to imagine. Another professor said, after eating the flesh and blood of mutants, you can sense a heat flow running through your body. This should be the spirit in the flesh and blood of mutants, which is temporarily absorbed and then quickly dissipated. The heat flow sensed by each person will be subtly different. These strange phenomena remind me of some ancient records about meridians, but modern science does not seem to have discovered organizational structures such as meridians and collaterals, so it should not be blood vessels. No. I think it is a circulatory stereoscopic reflex system in the cerebral cortex. Many professors have different opinions. However, Li Xianfeng sighed slightly. It was another day without any gains. A week, or a month? Half a year? There has been no breakthrough at the essential level for a long time. Looking at the information at hand, his mood became heavier. A year is still too short for scientific research, but they are racing against time. As the concentration of spirits continues to increase, the number of superpowers increases, and society becomes more unstable. I really can't find a way. Professor Peter, is the phenomenon of superpower crime serious in your area? After the meeting, Li Xianfeng asked a sensitive question. Oh, Li, this question is very strange. Professor Peter Greer was stunned for a moment, and suddenly laughed. Today's superpowers are generally not strong, and a bullet can end their lives. However, according to our statistics, the crime rate of superpowers is more than 3 times that of ordinary people. It's amazing, isn't it? Is that so? Li Xianfeng took a deep breath. Americans generally don't trust the government. After awakening superpowers, many people don't report it. But no matter what, Americans still have a government and a broad living space, and the overall order can still be maintained. Professor Peter added, the more chaotic the area, the higher the rate of superpower crimes, and the highest can reach more than 10 times that of ordinary people. Some other miserable areas are now in a state of anarchy. The government is paralyzed, no one is in charge and there is no rescue. Everything is left to fate. In this case, people will instinctively stick together and form groups. The subtle physical advantage of superpowers is reflected. Even the living conditions in these poorer places are unlikely to affect the Great Xia Kingdom. They don't have weapons of mass destruction, and it's even more impossible for them to attack a big country. But some extreme ideas are spreading rapidly, and the speech of superpower supremacy has already appeared. As the number of superpowers continues to increase, the spread of this kind of thinking will become more widespread and more recognized. Li, are you worried about this problem? In your country, there is indeed the possibility of order collapse. But we advocate individualism here. Even if a new class appears, it doesn't matter. In the new era, There will always be a new order, which will breed a new civilization soil. Professor Peter's eyes revealed a subtle change, as if he could see through Li Xianfeng's mind. Superpowers are indeed better than ordinary people. I don't think there's anything to discuss, right? Some things everyone knows well, and it is impossible to protect everyone's interests. If you want to maintain the old order, there are only two ways. The first is to eliminate all superpowers, the second is to eliminate all ordinary people. But we can't do either of these two. Li Xianfeng was silent. What he wanted to do at the moment was the second thing, eliminate all ordinary people, let everyone become superpowers. As long as this path of promotion can be found, even if it is a little narrower and more crowded, the conflict between ordinary people and superpowers will be greatly alleviated. Even, as long as there is a possibility, a small hope that is slimmer than a needle tip. As long as there is such a possibility, the foundation of superpower supremacy will no longer exist. Professor Peter, are you a superpower supremacist? Li Xianfeng said. No, I am a realist. No matter what, you and I can't fall into class, and we can't stop the trend of the times. When it must come, I choose to accept it. Peter Greer cleared his throat with some seriousness, and said with emotion, Li, if your descendants don't have superpowers, you can find a spouse with superpowers. With your current status, it's easy to do. From now on, our world will be such a world. And it will come soon. Li Xianfeng closed the video call, silently looked at the stars in the sky, and clenched his fists. Some people foresaw it. Some people don't care. Some people care. But it's useless to care. The lake is about to wither, and there may be billions of trapped fish. Some fish jumped over the dragon gate and never looked back. The densely packed small fish crowded together, covering the almost dried-up lake until the horizon as far as the eye could see. Billions of pairs of small fish's eyes stared at the dragon gate, staring at the dragon leaving in the sky. All the small fish wanted to cross the dragon gate. If they didn't find a chance to cross the dragon gate, the storm would come. Those dragons would soon feel that they were high and mighty, no longer the small fish they once were, but a different species. But how can we make billions of small fish cross the dragon gate? How? How? Reincarnation. How can we do it? If you can't do it, you will have to witness the dragon slaughtering the small fish in reincarnation after reincarnation. We said this drift bottle is worth tens of billions, and you see who wrote back to me. Damn, why did this thing come out of the cesspool? Wang Fumin pinched his nose from the toilet and happily fished out his drift bottle. The joy of regaining a lost treasure is indeed very joyful. But it is another matter if the treasure is stained with a pile of feces. This drift bottle is full of things. In addition to letters, there are also some food. At first glance, it is the mutated crab meat that has appeared in the mirage, and you can't buy it even if you want to. As long as there is water flowing, it may appear. Open it and take a look. Lu Tuai rubbed his hands, endured the smell of feces, and swallowed his saliva again. Don't worry, rinse it first. I don't know what this drift bottle has experienced. It is covered with gray and black stains, and some weeds and spider silk-like things are entangled on it, faintly emitting a disgusting smell. Wang Fumin fiddled with it for more than 10 minutes before he cleaned the stench of the bottle. He opened the lid and took out a letter and 2 balls of crab meat that were pressed very firmly. A pickled sea salt smell came to him. Hello, I am Zhang Ming, trapped on an island. Hahi. Just seeing a line of text, Wang Fumin was inexplicably excited and agitated. This feeling is like a fanatic fan meeting his idol. Adrenaline surges, and the skin of the whole face becomes ruddy. At such an old age, he is still chasing stars here, like a god. Wang Fumin cursed himself fiercely, looked at the letter, and regained his composure. So his name is Zhang Ming, and he also asked us to comfort his parents. Alice, his son is trapped in that hellhole, and I don't know what his parents think. Fortunately, his living condition is not bad at first. He lives a good life. People all over the world watch him as an archaeologist there. Lu Tuai walked around nearby, excitedly. Even his hair stood up, looking like a large hedgehog. It's a pity that even our team of experts can't decipher the text on the ruins, otherwise it would have been reported a long time ago. He should just look at it and can't understand the meaning. Well, that's true. Wang Fumin grinned and read it several times in a row. How big is the risk of the mysterious area? Why would an alien civilization be destroyed? Will the people on Earth repeat the same mistakes? These doubts are really itchy. After a long silence, Wang Fumin handed one of the crab meat jerky to Lu Tuai. I'll give you a piece of crab meat, draw a lottery, maybe you'll win. The probability of 1 in 10 is not small, so generous? Why don't you keep it for your daughter and wife? Lu Tuiyu's face trembled. This favor was really a bit too much. The meat of mutant creatures can be sold for money, and the price is not low. However, he was really tempted. There was no way to refuse. Hey, what's the relationship between us? The drifting bottle is not only used once, but also can be used to send things again. My daughter is still young and can't eat this stuff. If my wife becomes a superpower, she might divorce and run away, Wang Fumin joked. Hey, if you are lucky enough to become a superior person, don't forget each other when you become rich. As he said, Lao Wen took the lead in biting a little crab meat jerky, and felt a sense of fullness as if he had swallowed magma. The spirit contained in the long marinated jerky will slowly dissipate. But for the people on Earth, the dried crab meat that has lost half of its spirit is also a good tonic. It's quite fragrant, but it's a little too salty. It's just right to eat with rice. Lu Tuiyu didn't pretend to be pretentious. He took a deep breath and also started to eat it. It's really fragrant. He said he wanted to send some seeds of rice, corn, wheat, pepper and so on. Send them all to him? Well, it really needs to be as soon as possible. Although this drift bottle is good, the speed of transmission is too slow. He must be very anxious. The two guys were excited, but pretended to have a calm expression, as if nothing had happened, and drew the lottery of their own lives. Chapter 75 Ability, the Lone Star. Unconsciously, a light warm current was generated in the body. The key to activating superpowers is only the first time in life. If it cannot be activated for the first time under the effect of this warm current, it will never be activated again, no matter how much crab meat you eat. Faced with a turning point of fate, the two slowly stopped talking and concentrated on feeling the warm current in their bodies. After about 10 minutes, this light warm current completely disappeared. Lu Tuiyu wiped the sweat from his forehead and smiled bitterly. It seems that I failed. It turns out that I can't escape the fate of being a subordinate. There is no need to apply for a place in the mysterious area. Let's leave it at that. What about you? Did you succeed? Wang Fumin was also sweating all over. He felt a mysterious voice in his mind, as if he had some special instinct. However, perhaps to take care of his friend's psychology, or perhaps out of instinctive low-key, he subconsciously answered, no, it's normal not to have one. After all, only 1 out of 10 people can awaken the ability. Lu Tuiyu sighed and smiled bitterly. Let's go buy some seeds. The management system of the militia logistics force is relatively loose compared to the formal troops. After finishing their work, many people gathered in the cafeteria, bragging and chatting in groups of 3 or 2. After a day's work, people still have to have a chance to rest. Lu Tuiyu found an old man in the cafeteria and handed him a cigarette. Are you going to send seeds to your hometown for farming? Don't you want high-yield ones? I want the kind that I can keep for myself, not hybrid ones. The old man grinned with his big yellow teeth, puffed on a cigarette, and said, you've asked the right person. The seeds in our supply and marketing cooperative are very good, and there are also some for self-save. I have a nephew who works in the supply and marketing cooperative. Next time, I'll bring some seeds for you. It's very cheap, just a few cents. It's a piece of cake. Lu Tuiyu and the uncle in the cafeteria were talking nonsense, and the TV showed a group of soldiers entering the mysterious area and awakening their superpowers. The country is building a super large floating island base that can transport tens of thousands of soldiers into the mysterious area every month. Everyone was discussing enthusiastically when it would be their turn. Let me tell you, even if you don't enter the mysterious area, there is a chance that you will awaken superpowers. I have a relative who was originally a gambler who couldn't get married. He gambled when he had money and worked for a few days when he didn't have money. Under normal circumstances, we don't associate with him. As a result, one day, he found that he was extremely strong and could lift hundreds of pounds of weight. So he was recruited by the government to report to participate in some plan, with an annual salary of 1 million. The people around were envious. That's really no different from winning the lottery, and life has changed. My parents asked me to resume contact with him. I was in the 8th area, but I was obviously a bad person. After awakening superpowers, can a dog change its eating shit? Don't worry, wait until the concentration of spiritual energy is up, and you yourself become a superpower person, and you can still let him roll as far as he can. This is the power of the Nura. And it is the oppression from history. Lu Tuiyu sighed in his heart. Hope is really more precious than diamonds. He had already scratched the lottery ticket in his life and knew that he had no hope. He felt very sad when he heard these remarks. But this group of discussants had not scratched the lottery ticket yet, so they still had a little hope. When they found out that they failed to scratch the lottery ticket, what would they think? What would they do? Wang Fumin, who was listening on the side, also sighed in his heart. He had just spent some time thinking about the ability he had just obtained, the Star of Fate. Extreme sadness can make you stronger. It felt big, and it was probably like this. What the hell? Wang Fumin was so angry that he laughed at his ability. He secretly bit his arm, and the severe pain made him grin for a long time. He was sad for a while, but found that it was useless. Nothing was enhanced. So much so that he froze for a while. What a weird ability that requires the death of relatives to activate it. Damn it. After all, Wang Fumin was in his 30s, had a warm family, and was not so eager to make achievements. What he wanted most now was to take his daughter out to play. Who would want to be a star of misfortune? But this inexplicable ability brought him a strange sense of fear. He felt that he should secretly write a letter to ask the strongest superpower in the world whether there was any inevitable relationship between fate and ability. With the ability of Star of Misfortune on his head, he couldn't even sleep. The tide of the times, wave after wave. Directly or indirectly, it affects the fate of every human on the planet, just like the eve of a storm. Dark clouds are constantly brewing, but it is not something that human power can stop. But for Zhang Ming, there is no such feeling of empathy. The cold sea breeze blows on his face. Since he knew that there was a mirage in the sky, he has become extremely concerned about his appearance and living habits. The long hair like a savage was cut into a simple hairstyle, which was neat and tidy. The long beard like Zhang Fei was shaved off. The chick savage cloak was made a new one. The ice spear is naturally carried with him. When this thing is waved, it is so majestic. Occasionally, he would show off the delicious food he hunted on the beach, mostly seafood, and a few of them were some indescribable unknown creatures. In other words, there are too many terrifying things in the deep sea. So far, Zhang Ming is still quite conservative. He only hunts prey when he is sure. Occasionally, he would dig up the relics of ancient civilizations and put them on the beach for display. The beach is his second home. On this day, under the golden sun, he was studying a stone tablet of Yanjiao civilization. Long-term excavation of relics, careful listening, and continuous practice have finally brought his knowledge to a special critical point. Shimima, translated again, the black stone rolling at his feet did not refuse this request. For Shimima, it doesn't matter how many times it is repeated. It always has to find a topic to talk about. Lowdown book. Cassie's mother a blurry picture like a movie appeared in Zhang Ming's mind. An elderly Yanjiao man, dressed in gorgeous clothes, sat in the magnificent hall and taught something. You are all the elites of the younger generation among the Yanjiao people, and you are one in a million. In a while, the Zuanwu beast will break through the bottleneck and enter the realm of the gods. However, if it fails, our race will face a catastrophe, so, you must leave. Today is your last lesson. All your questions will be answered. The voice of the old Yanjiao man, like a huge bell, echoed in the empty hall. For a while, no one asked questions. These young people were immersed in the sadness of leaving their hometown. Lost people, a terrible term, left the protection of their hometown. Where would they go? How could they find a new world? What would happen to their hometown? Will the Zuanwu beast really succeed? No one knows the final answer. Teacher, after a long time, a young man could not help but ask the question that had been lingering in his mind for a long time. Many of us have our own destiny, but after we have the Yanjiao breathing technique, what is the meaning of this destiny? The Yanjiao people call their superpowers destiny. The growth intensity of the breathing technique is far higher than our own talent. Has our personal destiny been wiped out by this breathing technique? Your question is very interesting. The old man of the Yanjiao tribe was stunned for a moment, and then he held his beard and laughed. How can your personal destiny compare with the great Zuanwu? Whether it is great strength or clairvoyance, from awakening to reaching a bottleneck, the room for improvement is too limited, and our Yanjiao breathing technique originated from the Zuanwu mythical beast. After thousands of years of evolution, it has been reborn and unique. Unless it is one of the legendary few kinds of destiny, its growth potential can compete with a breathing technique. The young man looked ashamed. His question was really stupid. But the old man at the front of the hall changed the subject. But personal talent is not unimportant. Even our great sage has thought about this issue. Long-term practice of the flame horn breathing technique, The continuous growth of spirit, energy and personal destiny has become a little extra skill, but later, he encountered the limit of man, and then he rethought this issue. Children, the old man finally said, the limit of man is a bottleneck across life. Even the black tortoise has its limit, let alone the bottleneck of the flame-horn man, which must exist. How to break through the human limit? The great sage believes that you must mobilize all your personal potential. At this time, you need to combine your personal talent with the flame-horn breathing technique. When you have completed this fusion step, you can break through this bottleneck. The old man's voice was low. Of course, this step is difficult. Most of you will not be able to touch the limit of man in this lifetime, let alone break through this bottleneck. In my Yanjiao clan, in the past 10 years, only a few thousand people have touched the extreme of man. There are 3 levels of spirit, energy and spirit. Less than 100 people have broken through 1 level, only 5 people have broken through 2 levels, no one has broken through 3 levels. The old man turned around and muttered in a voice that only he could hear. You guys stay alive. The ripples of the movie-like scene gradually disappeared from his mind, and the repetition ended. Zhang Ming took a deep breath. This passage contained a lot of information, and even recorded the future breakthrough direction. P.S. Added for the leader only waiting for others. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone, see you in the next video.